to the FY24 Nonprofit Security Grant Workshop for Wednesday, October 9th, 1924. I am your host, William Drew, and our presenters will be Dave Fields and Margaret Grushenko. We would like to start with our opening comments by our director, Lori Duran, if she's on.
She is.
Okay.
I am here.
Thank you, Lori.
Yep. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you, Drew. And I appreciate that Margaret and Dave are going to be walking you through the 3-hour program today. First of all, congratulations on being awarded these federal fiscal year 24 nonprofit security grants for New Jersey. This has been a very competitive process, so you have beat out a lot of colleagues and other partners that would like to have access to this money. Just want to give you a quick heads up. This year, we awarded almost $37.3 million, which is the highest award amount that we have been able to grant to this date. And that was an increase of $7 million from last year. With that, you're one of 248 individual awards, which is also the most awards that we've ever been able to do to this date. So in this, I hope you find that today's program will be useful to you. I know that you have now done the hard part by actually meeting the application requirements to get the award, and now there's the process next in all the process that goes along with you being able to get reimbursed for the things you want to do to keep your houses of worship safe. So your success is our success. Anything that we can do to help you be able to make your house of worship or other nonprofit organizations safe. We're there to help you. I am very biased, but I'm the governor's Homeland Security advisor, so I meet with my fellow colleagues in the country, and by far, our grants program, our grants bureau is known throughout the United States among their counterparts as one of the best in the country. So you have a lot of people here who are willing to give you a lot of time, a lot of explanations on how to do things, and you can reach out to them. And from what I understand, you have a pretty full 3 hours. So with that, I'm going to shut up and just say that I'm really happy that you're here with us. Congratulations. And if you ever have any questions, through the grants people, you can always reach out to me. I'm around 24/7 for any questions that anyone would have. But with that, I'm going to turn it back to Drew.
Thank you so much. Just for your own purposes, today's session will be recorded and then posted on our website within 1 week. On a housekeeping note, today we have 257 folks on this phone call. So if you have any questions, you can either type them into a chat line, or towards the end, there is going to be a question and answer period. So with that being said, I can turn this over to Margaret, and it's all yours, Margaret.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Will, and thank you, Laurie, for the very nice compliments. My name is Margaret Grushenko. I am a grants liaison for the Federal Nonprofit Security Grants Program. Many of you already know me, and I look forward to getting to know those who are new recipients as well. I'm very pleased to be here today to conduct this training along with my colleague, David Fields. He is our coordinator for the Federal Nonprofit Security Grants Program. And also want to give a thanks to William for all of his technical support. It's very important, so we appreciate that. As far as the grant, I want to echo Laurie's comments. You are definitely in good hands with our staff. David, in mentoring us, has really focused on customer service as being a top priority. security, and that is reflected in the fact that New Jerseyans have been so successful with these grants. Also, we have other staff members who are excellent and lend great support. You all have been assigned a respective liaison. So in the initial email that you received congratulating you and asking for your contact information, please look to the bottom of that email. You will see the name of your respective liaison, and that is the person with whom you should be working the whole time. Our other liaisons include Leah Sally, and she's helped to train people in the past, as you may or may not recall. We have Cheyenne Rains, who was an intern for us, who now works as a full-time staff member. And we have Harmaine Sohail, who is our newest member and does a great job as well. So we will help you navigate this process throughout. It is complicated, but we're going to try to break it down and make it digestible for you today. I want to echo congratulations to everyone for all of your hard work. These grants are highly competitive and they are very cumbersome, so it is a lot of work. We try to make a lot of supports available to help you to have success for sure. Laurie did indicate how many agencies received support this year. Just to give you some perspective, last year or this year we have 248, 200 last year, 131 in fiscal year 22 for just over 17 million. So we're now over double that, and we're just wanting to kind of clone ourselves because it is a lot of volume. It's very important work, especially with the climate that's in effect today. So the growth has been exponential, and Dave did share with me something that FEMA stated, which was that New Jersey's IJs were simply better written than most of the country. So that says a lot to the work that you're putting in, and also reflects that we do have a culture where we're trying to really create success for you in securing these grants for your agencies. So it's a lot of information today. I hope you are well rested, and I hope you have lots of coffee in front of you. We're going to try to break things down for you and make everything plain and understood and digestible. And of course, we're here along the way. When you go back and you have questions, you can certainly reach out. To go back, you received that introductory email that I indicated. We asked for your contact information. We wanted to obviously get to you the invite today and make sure that everyone who was supposed to receive it receives it. If you haven't done that point of contact information update, please do so and get it back to your liaison. We want to make sure our records are correct. In that email, we also spoke about the UEI number. Everyone must have a UEI number. I hear from Dave that we're in pretty good shape with that, but if you don't have it, make sure that you do. The UEI number replaced the DUNS number a few years back. It stands for the Unique Entity Identifier, and it's really like a de facto social security number for your agency, so how the government identifies you. So we do absolutely need that. You cannot receive monies if we do not have a UEI number. And in that email where we congratulated you, we indicated the process that you have to go through to secure that. As far as next steps, you're going to be receiving a grant agreement soon. We use the Adobe sign process. Will Drew has spearheaded that effort, so no more paper, and that's been for years now, but it expedites things and makes it much smoother and more efficient. You're going to receive that soon, so please take a look at that. It will go to the head of your organization and also head of organization first, and then your project manager. So definitely tell your head of your organization to be keeping an eye for that. And once it's fully executed, you'll get a complete copy back to you. Just to underscore, this grant period of performance is for 3 years. If any of you have had state grants, the period of performances are shorter. Ours is 3 years. That gives you ample time to complete all of your projects for sure. Please do not wait, until the last minute. We want to help you to spend down these monies and, not return any monies back to us. They are for your projects and for your protections. Final reimbursement requests have to be submitted on or before July 30th, 2027 for this grant. So that means all projects completed, everything is done, all of your paperwork is to us by that date. It gives us 1 month to process everything and close out the grants. Okay, so that's a drop dead firm date. Will, could you pull up the critical dates for me so I can go over that with everyone? Okay, thank you. So you received in your email with the invite for this training a lot of attachments. I want to encourage you to keep them organized, keep hard copies if you want, or electronic copies. They're really going to be very necessary for all aspects of the grant. It's a lot of documents that go with a lot of different things, and we'll go through everything today. But as far as critical dates, these are your deadlines. You're going to see over here, grant agreement is due 11/20/24. We're going to go over the spending annex, which is your budget, EHP document. Dave is going to be tackling EHP document information, and I'll go over encumbrance. Final reimbursements I just indicated, and the actual end of the period of performance is 8/31/27, but that extra month is for our agency to process things. Your documents need to be to us by 7/30/27, and everything needs to be completed. Okay, we can go back to the slides, please, which is contract attachments from grant agreement. Okay, so nope, one more. Contract attachments from grant agreement. There we go. Okay, so I just wanted to go through the grant agreement and the documents, the attachments that you're going to be receiving with it. The first three documents or attachments pertain to security personnel. For those of you who have security personnel as your project, you'll want to pay special attention here. Of course, everyone should be reviewing everything, but if you have security, first three attachments, and I just want to touch on what they are. Attachment A pertains to the use of active law enforcement and the requirements that go along with that. So if you're using active law enforcement, it's going to list out, what is important to keep in mind with regard to that. Attachment B is pertaining to if you're using guards from a security company. There is a law that was passed, the Security Officer Registration Act. It requires anyone that you hire from a company to be SORA certified. So you need to be sure of that. The third document pertains to non-supplanting certification. This document is one that you have to sign. We've indicated next to each attachment what has to be signed. As far as supplanting, what that means is that if you receive monies for security personnel, you can use them to supplement monies that you already have earmarked in your budget. So if you have, say, $10,000 earmarked in your budget, and now you've gotten $25,000 for security guards, you can augment that number, but you may not replace it. Okay, so that's what supplanting pertains to, and you're going to sign off on that. Standard assurances. This grant is a reimbursable grant. That means you are not given the funds at the outset. So you have to affirm that you have the money to do these projects. You'll advance the monies and then we'll reimburse you. And that's a component of the program that Dave's going to get into, our grants tracking system and how you get reimbursed. This document also touches on the Code of Federal Regulations, CFR 200, a lot of information and regulations and stipulations pertaining to grants and how the government wants them managed. So you'll take a look at that. And also in this document, you're going to see information about site visits. We're going to get into compliance monitoring. That's a big component of this grant. Us coming out to your agency, and in this attachment, it indicates that we are able to do site visits announced and unannounced. Okay, so for example, if you are doing security personnel, we could come out and make sure that your security personnel are where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be. We can come out and look at your equipment. Oftentimes we coordinate things, and do an announce visit, but just be mindful of the fact that we can do the alternate. Debarment suspension, certification regarding lobbying, just means that no monies can be used to sway officials or bribe officials. That's pretty much a no-brainer. The next attachment is debarment suspension, ineligibility, and voluntary exclusion. So when you do select vendors to work with, you can only work with vendors that are authorized by the government that have not been debarred, meaning they haven't done something preclude them from doing business with the government. So Dave is going to go through quickly how you run your debarment search to make sure that the agency or that the vendors are clear. And also attachment G pertains to extension request forms. We will grant extensions only if there is some grave legal or operational issue that rises to the occasion. We did do extension requests during the pandemic. Obviously, that's a very grave situation. But for the most part, do not count on that. You have plenty of time to complete this grant. So that should not be necessary unless something unforeseen happens. Okay, New Jersey Treasury. So agencies are required to register with NJ Start. NJ Start, this is the New Jersey Treasury. Any organization that already has acquired, that already registered and acquired a vendor number. So for you who are veterans to this grant program, this will sound familiar. You will have registered, you will have gotten a vendor number. That vendor number is used for you to get reimbursed. You must have it. But for new agencies or agencies who have never registered with NJ Start, there's a new process that you have to undergo. So you now have to register with NJ Treasury by submitting a W-9 form to the email address indicated in the slide. We didn't put it into the slide, but we're asking that you please copy your respective liaison so that we're in the loop about your registration process and where you're at in it. And you also have to fill out an ACH form, which pertains to your banking information so that you can get electronic disbursements if you wish. So that's the new process. Again, if you already have a vendor number and you already registered with NJ Start, this is not applicable to you. There is a form that Dave sent as part of the attachments, a W-9, as he so often does. He gives great examples and templates, and you have one here. He's going to go over that briefly at the end, so he will walk you through how to fill that out for persons only who have not registered with NJ Start and do not have a vendor number. For those agencies who do register the new way, you are going to use, instead of a vendor number, you'll be using your EIN number. So when you are going to get reimbursed, there's a form. The old way is the vendor number. The new way, you'll put your EIN number, okay, to replace that. That's how you will complete the form, but we'll go over that. Okay, next slide. So this is the annex document. If you've opened up your documents, you will have seen this spreadsheet. Keep it handy. Basically, when you did your application, you completed a budgetary section in your investment justification, your original application. You're going to take that information now and transpose it over to the annex. This will tell us what projects your intent to do. You're allowed to do everything just as it was on your application, but you do have some wiggle room here to change things. So you can increase budget amounts, you can eliminate projects and take monies and put them into another budget. Say, for example, you were going to do fencing and you couldn't get zoning, so now you have $40,000. You can move that to another category that was approved in your IJ. What you can't ever do is add on new projects, okay? So only, you can move things around a bit, but only with projects that were approved in your investment justification, okay? Some people will try to sneak in management and administration when they hadn't gotten approved for that in the beginning. You may not do that. So you're going to fill out this form as indicated from your investment justification, and you'll send it to your liaison. And Will, can you go to the next part of it? Okay, yes, okay. So when you fill it out, you're putting your agency's name, point of contact, and then on the left side, there's a drop down. You'll see category. So a lot of you have equipment. Some of you have M&A, training, security personnel. So you'll select the correct drop down, write in what it is that your project is, the name of it, access control or lighting, and then you do your AEL number, which comes off of your original application. And please make a note to yourself to always use quantity 1. Some people will put like 16 and try to get all the unit price, and it just gets cumbersome and confusing with the pricing. So we want to see quantity 1, always unit price and the total. So you'll send that to your liaison, and then that information will get put into our grants tracking system to create your budgetary items. Next slide. So like I said, you can change your budget annex. You maybe a year and a half into the grant no longer want to do, there's a more pressing need for doors, or there's an issue that's come up. You have doors in your budget. You want to eliminate another category. You can change it again. You can submit another one 2 years into it and make modifications. And then we'll help you in the grants tracking system to reflect all of those changes into your budget. But you have to send that to your grants liaison and let them know. Next. So once you get your budget set up, and before you get that clearance that I talked about from FEMA on your EHP, you are permitted to start to gather your bids. You cannot contract with anyone or begin any work, but you can start to compile your bids. And that's a process that we want to walk through with you. So we call it procurement. What is procurement? The action of obtaining something. What are you going to obtain as an agency? You're going to be obtaining your estimates and your bids. We require for any expenditure over $1,000, any project that you have 3 bids, 3 separate bids or quotes. Basically, that's getting bids for every project because they're all higher dollar amounts. But you'll want to obtain your bids. And you do that through different means. You can call people, you can use the internet, you can use referrals or advertisements. If you are having trouble getting 3 bids, the SAA, State Administrative Agency, which is us, has discretion to scale the number of bids. We really want to see that you get 3, but in some areas and with some projects, it's harder to get bids. If you document that information and show it to us and show us that you were doing your due diligence, but you're just not having a good result, we will consider scaling the number of bids. But for the most part, we do want to see the 3 quotes. So you can start to do that, right away, but again, do not contract with anyone until you have clearance with your EHP. Okay, next. Okay, this is a slide we added this year, just something to keep agencies apprised of and something hopefully you can avoid. I'm actually going to read this. This pertains to a circular for the state of New Jersey Department of Treasury. So the circular requires federal and state grant recipients who expend less than $750,000, but more than $100,000 in one fiscal year to have a financial audit, and nobody wants to get audited. So your agency actually has to foot the bill for the audit. And if you're waiting to the last minute, or your contractors are waiting and squeezing everything in 1 year at the end, then this could be something that you're subject to have to do. So best way to get around it is do not expend more than $100,000 in a fiscal year. And the fiscal year for the state runs July 1st through June 31st. So do not, be mindful of that so that you can avert being audited. Next slide. Competitive bidding. So we've tried to focus in on this a bit. Our coordinator, David Fields, attended a conference a couple years back, and this is something that FEMA wants us to underscore. So if you are getting your bids, it's important that you're reaching out to diverse entities. And I'm going to read per the Code of Federal Regulations what the stipulations are and what it is I'm saying exactly. Regarding competitive bidding process and contracting with small and minority businesses, women's business enterprises, and labor surplus area firms, the stipulation requires your agency to take an affirmative step to assure that minority businesses, women's businesses, and labor surplus area firms are used whenever possible. And what does that mean to take an affirmative step? What is that? What does that require of your agency? So just going to read a couple of these. It means that you would be placing qualified small and minority businesses and women's businesses, enterprises on your solicitation list. So expanding outreach, affirmative steps to reach out to different vendors that are minority and women oriented. Establish or dividing assuring that small and minority businesses and women business enterprises are solicited whenever they are potential sources, using services and assistance as appropriate. Number 5, I'm reading, of such organizations as the Small Business Administration and the Minority Business Development Agency. So just to highlight a couple, you can read the rest. We have some links here to help you to find vendors that are minority oriented and women owned, and also U.S. Small Business Administration. There's a link to that as well. When we do our compliance monitoring, this is something I'm going to touch on later. We've included in our questionnaire. So we're going to be seeing and gathering information from you to make sure that you are adhering to this. So again, please be mindful of that requirement. Next slide. Debarment searches. I mentioned that you are going to be signing in your grant agreement a document that states that you know that you will not be reimbursed if you do business with vendors that cannot do business with the government. So there are debarment searches that you must conduct where you check to see if those vendors are in fact clear to do business. Rarely have I seen one that isn't, but if there is one that comes up and you miss it, you won't be reimbursed. Dave is going to show you, right, Dave, how to walk through these debarment searches.
Sure. Okay, we'll do that right now.
Okay, awesome.
First of all, I'm going to click on the link for New Jersey, and I'm going to share my screen. Oh, I think I just froze.
Uh-oh.
Oh, okay. Here we go. All right, you can see my screen now?
Yeah.
All right, I went to that link, and it gets you to this page. It says it's going to redirect you. You can just go right now. So this is for the New Jersey. Once you get redirected, you're looking for vendor debarment searches, and you're going to click that link. At this point, this New Jersey website only offers 15 characters. It is what it is. So you try to do your best and fill in what you can put in there, and then you hit search. There's no reason to put any reason or NPI number. Just put as much as the name of the vendor that you are going to use. You only have to do debarment searches on the winning vendor. So you can hit search. You're going to see no matches were found. What you're going to do is you want to right click, you want to hit print, and you want to print this to a PDF and save it to your computer. That way you'll have this. It'll automatically be a PDF, and you can upload this with your purchase order and the vendor's bid. So that's how you do the New Jersey one. It's pretty simple. Let me show you how to do the federal one. All right. So what we want to do is we want to go to sam.gov and just hit enter. sam.gov. So any of you who don't have a UEI number, as soon as you hit sam.gov, it's the first banner that pops up. You have to get away from it in order to advance. So if you don't have your UEI number, this is where you get it. Please continue with this process. All right. So once you get to this website, we're looking for exclusions. So exclusions is found under entity information. So we're looking, we're going to click entity information. It's going to redirect you to this page. We're not asking you to sign in. The only thing I want you to do is look at advanced search. This wording, advanced search, is a link. Don't use this. Actually click the word advanced search. Click that. You're going to be redirected again. Again, we're looking for exclusions. So we're going to click exclusions so this program knows what we're looking for. We're going to put the name of the vendor right here. And we're going to keep the cursor in, and we're going to hit enter. This is a beautiful thing. This is what you want to see. No matches found. Now, same thing, right click, print the PDF. You want to have a PDF of these debarment searches. If 25 pages and 25 per page come up, we don't want that. If you need to shrink it because some matches were found that did not actually they do matches that are similar. So if that's the situation, just go down here with this still in the frame, hit location, put the zip code of the vendors where they live or where their business is at, that zip code. And as soon as you hit enter, you're going to be mega reduced. So that's the way to get that. We do have this whole scenario in the PowerPoint. I just thought, and Margaret and I thought it would be a great idea to show you. It's pretty quick and pretty simple. And again, we're always available if you need additional help. So back to you, Margaret.
All right, thank you. Okay, so yes, that's how you conduct your debarment searches, and you want to definitely see what Dave underscored. So now, let's see, I guess we have to get back to
Yeah,
the
William put up the
slides. Okay, okay. Perfect. Okay, so I want to take a deeper dive for a few minutes into the different types of projects. And, basically a lot of people are doing target hardening, but there are other projects, management and administration. I've mentioned obviously security personnel, there's training, exercises and planning. And those respective projects sometimes have different forms that you have to be aware of, different things that you have to upload with your reimbursement. So I want to break them down. So, just think about on your application, what did you apply for? Did you get all target hardening monies? Do you have M&A? Do you have security? And just try to hone in on what you need. Dave will have sent all of these attachments that I'm going to talk about. So you have them and you'll need them as you go. So keep them handy. So as far as management and administration, this is a great option. I hope a lot of you took advantage of it. You can get monies through the grant up to 5% of your total grant amount. So if you got $150,000, you're able to have, if you were approved for this, $7,500 to either hire a contractor to do all of this madness for you, or to pay your own staff member whose time is allocated to have to do all of these, cumbersome tasks. When you do get reimbursed, important thing to note, you can only be reimbursed for M&A monies at the level that you've expended them. So, say you have the $7,500 and you're doing grant projects and you've done lighting and you've spent $20,000 only. That's all that you've expended. You've gotten $150,000, but you've only spent $20,000. You can only get reimbursed for M&A as at $1,000 at that point. Okay, so you can't get all of the $7,500 in one fell swoop. You have to get it as you expend the funds. Hopefully that makes sense. As far as when you are ready to do that reimbursement and get some of those M&A monies, next slide, please. There is an attachment. It's called the personnel certification form. So that form has to be filled out and it has to be included with your reimbursements, which Dave will get into, but pretty straightforward, putting your agency information into the document, the time period for the M&A work that's been done, and the activities that the agency has actually done for you, prepared your EHP, done reimbursement requests. So you'll detail that, sign it, and that will go with your reimbursement request. So just keep that in mind. Other overarching projects, training, exercise, and planning. So training, just to make some distinctions and to go over some requirements that pertain to these respective projects. Training is obviously a type of instruction. What we're doing here for you today would qualify as a training, and you would be able to get monies for such through these grants if you have training as one of your projects. Other examples of training that are pertinent for you guys: community emergency response team training, active shooter training, emergency first aid training. But just be mindful also that there are a lot of free trainings that are available. There's a website up on the screen. Also, you can contact our training department. So if you can find free trainings, then you can take the monies that maybe were allocated for trainings in your application and you can apply them elsewhere and get, the biggest bang for your buck. If things are free and that's what your intent to do, try to locate those free trainings and utilize your monies elsewhere. Exercise funding may be used to conduct security related exercises as well. You can also get monies for planning. I don't see these categories so much, but if you do have monies for planning things that you might be doing, development and enhancement of security plans and protocols, development of further strengthening of security assessments, emergency contingency plans, which are very important. You know, things that are happening nowadays, people have to know how to react to it, and you need that really detailed specified plan in place to guide your staff and guide your leadership. And monies for all of these categories can cover such things as attendance fees, facilitation costs, materials, supplies, and or equipment, your meeting space. So there's a lot of auxiliary things that fall under these grants that you can utilize the monies for. Next slide. And just a distinction between training and exercise. If you are doing exercise, that's something that has a physical response component to it, and training, like I said, would be what I'm doing here today. Some people get a little bit confused with that. Next slide. So exercise. Exercises have to be HCP compliant. So if you do have exercises in your budget, you can go to this website. HCP stands for Homeland Security Exercise and Evaluation Program. So recipients who wish to conduct an exercise are required to visit this webpage, okay, and create their plans through the portal that's there. And then all of your exercise plans then need to be submitted to our Training and Exercise Bureau for review and approval. So take a look at this slide, take a look at the website and the portal, and make sure that you are adhering to what has to be done in the event that you are intent to do exercise. Next slide. So for security personnel, a few years ago, these grants were opened up and began to allow the hiring of security personnel as one of the projects. Funding must be used exclusively for the hiring of security personnel. So as we said before, that's either active law enforcement or you can hire a company. As I said prior, you have to have the officers who work for the company have to be SOAR certified. If you're looking for active security agencies, we do have that listed on our website. So you can go to our website and take a look and do some hiring through there if that works best for you. Funding is exclusively for the hiring of supplemental security. We went through that, so you cannot supplant. I've explained what that means. It's only to augment your budget for security. And this is the one project, if you do have it, you are able to start hiring security personnel immediately as soon as you get your grant agreement signed. And you do not have to wait for EHP clearance on this. You can get going right away. So once the grant agreements get out and it's fully executed, you can reach out to your liaison and we'll help walk you through the documents that I'm going to go over and have gone over that have to be done to get you started and get you ultimately reimbursed for security personnel. For security agencies and really for all of these other projects that I'm talking about, make sure that you do your state and federal debarment searches on them as well. We did say they must be SOAR certified, and also important to note is you must submit detailed security personnel and cost schedules to your OHSP liaison in advance, and I'm going to show you what that form looks like. So you really need to be mindful and get clear about when you're going to have your security personnel, you know, what days of the week, and we need to see that schedule. We are able to do the unannounced visits, and we can and do check to make sure that the security is in place. You can change your security schedule. Next slide, please. So scheduling changes, obviously things happen, you can modify it, but you need to let your liaison know and just tweak that, the form, and then we'll keep that with your records and we'll know that, you know, the modification is in effect. And next slide, Will. So these are the two forms. If you do have security personnel, again, these were emailed to you, you're going to have to do. On the left-hand side, that's your quarterly schedule. And we want to see detailed, as I said, the agency, the dates, the times, what the rate is. Can you go back? Okay. And then on the right-hand side, this is kind of akin to the form for the M&A. It's the personnel certification form, but specific to security. So a little bit of different information goes in here. You're going to have the SORA number if you're hiring through a vendor, and the hours worked, and total that up. And all of these documents should align. So your quarterly schedule and your cert form, and then your invoice that's billed should all align. When you submit these documents for reimbursement, they should match up. But please do get that security schedule prepped if you intend to do security from the outset, and get it to your liaison. Everyone should get it to their liaison right away. Next slide. Okay, and lastly, before we switch back over to Dave, who's going to get into the EHP information, this is our website. We just wanted to show you. It's been updated recently, some changes. Hopefully it's user-friendly, and the changes are well received. You'd want to go to the federal NSGP program under the grants tab. Our goal is to, and we do have a lot of these documents that we sent to you: annex, inventory sheet, the security guard docs, and the M&A personnel cert form, request for reimbursement form. So a lot of forms are there. This is where the training will be after today when we upload it. So you can go back to the training and reference things if you're confused, and just go through things again. But I would like to advise that the most efficient way is to really get organized from the outset. Take all the information that you've been given, keep it in a hard file, some of it if that works best, or store it electronically, and make some type of place where you can keep your passwords. We have a lot of agencies. Your time is valuable, our time is valuable, and it's really important that we're not receiving a lot of emails asking for the same information that we shared with you at the training, and asking us to resend documents. Please be mindful. The grant has grown a lot, and time is valuable. So everything is here for you. And I'm gonna now turn things over to Dave for a bit to get into the EHP document.
All right. Well, thank you. I guess I'm sharing. All right. First, on the form on your PowerPoint. All right. So this is one of the slides. The EHP is Environmental Historical Preservation Screening Form that everybody must. If you're buying equipment that's going to go into your facility, you have to fill this form out. And I did give this form in the attachment. There's 4 things that EHP FEMA is looking for. They're looking to see whether or not your building has any historical value, and minus that, if your property has any historical value. If neither of those things, they're also looking at if you're going to do any ground disturbance via fencing or bollards, whether that ground disturbance is going to interfere with the water table or the watershed. Those are the things that FEMA is really looking at through this EHP. Let's see. So all EHPs, when you fill them out, submit them to your liaison. We'll take a look at it. We'll make sure if there's anything glaringly missing, we'll send you an email saying, please add this. All right. It's imperative that you listen to us, because our goal is to get it submitted to FEMA and have it sent back to us approved. If they have questions, if you leave questions, they're going to send it back saying additional information needed. So we're trying to avoid that. That's going to be a few more weeks. Any building that's over 45 years or 50 years or older is automatically going to go to Region 2, and that is New Jersey's EHP people. That just is just another week or so in the delay process. So you can't help that. If your building's a little older, they're going to take a look, a little bit stronger of a look. Older buildings, what they're looking at are windows and doors specifically. So we're going to, if you're going to change anything about the windows and doors, we certainly need pictures to show that. So anyway, the EHP, let me pull this up. All right, this is your EHP form. What I've done is already filled in the first part. Please understand that Homeland Security is the recipient of these grants, and you guys will be the subrecipient. We are the recipient. The reason why this we had to wait so long to get the list out and to send all you guys information is because we, as OHSP, as a state administrative agency, we had to wait to be awarded. We kept waiting. Normally, we get that award package sometime in mid-July. We didn't get it till a couple weeks ago, which is why it delayed everything. So sorry about that. But this information is your grants award number. Please leave it there. Please leave all of this information exactly where it is. You guys are the subrecipient. What we do and why you got to register with NJ Start is because when we get awarded the dollar amount, $37 million, we put it into our New Jersey Treasury account. Then you guys have to register with New Jersey Treasury to draw down from that account. That's why certain steps are needed. So subrecipient is your organization. Please put the name that you put on the IJ right here. Who is going to be the project manager? That's the POC. Their mailing address, or the mailing address of the facility, the email address of your point of contact. Estimated costs. What were you awarded? Either the $150,000 or $88,000. The estimated cost is what you were awarded. Everybody's doing target hardening. This has to be either the latitude, longitude of the facility you're trying to target harden or the physical address of your facility. This is a good spot. It's a huge spot. They want you to discuss the project description of each project. What are you buying? Why do you need it? And where is it going? That's what you want to talk about for each of these projects. And again, the summary should contain specific action that's proposed. You're buying this equipment and the reason why you need it and where is it being implemented. So be specific, be detailed, talk about each project in project description. I have already checked these 2, 1 and 3, purchase of equipment and renovations. Anytime you purchase equipment and going to install it at your facility, it's a renovation. If you're doing tabletop training, you do not need to click this. Only if you're doing an exercise do you need to click this. If you've asked for a generator, click this. Otherwise, don't worry about it. There's no new construction. You're not getting any towers or antennas. So basically 1 and 3, unless you're doing exercise and unless also you've got a generator. And again, you cannot add new equipment. You have to look at your IJ section 4 facility hardening. Those are the only projects that you are allowed to do. When we talked about revising the annex, we're talking about sometimes you underestimated the dollar amount for one particular project. That's a priority. So you can eliminate already approved projects to take that money and roll it into the newer or to the more prioritized project. That's where we're talking moving money around because your IJ, you guessed at the dollar amounts. We know you guessed at the dollar amounts. We're not holding you to that. But we do want to know where your money's going, which again is why you want to revise your annex every time you go out and get your 3 quotes. Now you pick your vendor and you have a known dollar amount. You put that known dollar amount in the annex, submit that to your liaison, showing him how you're changing the money. You're never getting more than your award amount. But that annex shows your liaison, to pardon the pun or to pardon the phrase, how to rob Peter to pay Paul. We want to know what you're doing, what you're taking money from, and what you're putting it into. That's an important thing. All right, so project types. Now, Project C. This is a long form, but you don't have to fill a whole lot out. Project C is checked. What are you buying and how many? If I'm buying 15 dome cameras, you put 15 dome cameras in there. If you're buying many projects, there's not enough space. Say see addendum. These are writable PDFs. They're just not expandable. That's the problem. What we do try to do is we're going to, I believe I sent this in the email. If you don't have enough room to fill out when you're filling out the EHP, you create an addendum through a Word document. Project C, what are you buying? How many? Put it in there. We'll never be able to put this amount of information in that tiny little spot. So pretty much everybody is going to do an addendum, and it's going to be included with the EHP submission to your liaison. In years past, they always asked what the AEL numbers are within this section. They don't seem to be asking that anymore. It doesn't hurt, but we're not going to demand it if the form doesn't ask for it. Oops, what happened? See what happens when you wiggle? All right. So section C, question 1A, what are you buying and how many? If you're not doing training, you're done section C, you're going to section D. Unless you're getting a generator, then please complete this and let us know, click it and put your information here. Other than that, you're strolling right down to section D. Now, why is this all this? Well, this isn't just for Homeland or just for nonprofits. This document is also for counties and municipalities. So there's a lot of detail that just is not relevant to you. Project installation, explain how and where renovations, upgrades, and modifications will take place, or where equipment systems will be installed. So you've already explained what you're buying and why you need it. Here is basically you're stating again that your 1,000-foot linear foot of 6-foot chain link fencing is going to be placed in the back property. What are you buying? Where is it going? And how is it being in place? How is it being placed? Basically, you want to tell, again, go to the addendum. You can add more information and more detail in this addendum for section D. You can always state basically that your project will be uploaded or input by a contractor that won your bidding process. That's always a great thing to say, that through the bidding process, these renovations will be done by winning contractors. It says, would ground disturbance be required? Ground disturbance is for bollards, fencing, gates, that kind of thing. So if yes, you got to click yes. The great thing about this is right here in this section, it gives you the best example of putting information in. If you're doing light poles, you can just copy this. 24 diameters by 4 foot deep. Trenching for electric will be X amount. All right. They even have the fence posts and gates. They give you a lot of information here that you can glean off of it. Ground disturbance, they want to know the current of the conditioned area. So if some of your ground disturbance is going to be in the parking lot, you want to put concrete parking lot. If your bollards are going into grass, say the conditions of the yard or grass, they want to know what we're digging into. If you're getting a fence and it's going to be electric fence, will you be using the electricity from your building? It's already there. So yes, we're going to use existing electronic distribution systems. Age of your building, again, they're asking you how old your building is. Put it in there. Are there any buildings 45 years or older around you? I don't expect you to go knocking on neighbors' door asking them how old their building is. If you have a cathedral that's from the 1800s, yeah, that's, the important thing is how old is your building? You can guess on this one. Again, they talk about 50 years or older. The structure of the building, 50 years or older, or any adjacent. Just let them know. They're looking for specific things. FEMA, this EHP doesn't know what's allowable under our grant. They only know what they're looking for. They're looking for those 4 things: ground disturbance and making sure that your building isn't of any kind of historical value. So basically, it's a really quick form, but you are going to need photographs. So you're going to hit required, required, required. What are you going to need photographs of? Well, basically everything. We want you to, and it's necessary to do colored photos. FEMA wants to know, first of all, they want an aerial photo. You can go to Google Maps and put your address in and look for an aerial map. From that aerial map, and you guys can read all this, basically what it's telling you about photos is that they take up a lot of megabytes. What I would do is when you get your photos together, you put them on a Word document. You can get 2 per Word document and then go down. Another Word document will come up. You might have 15 Word document or 15 pages of that one Word document full of pictures. That's okay. Save it as a PDF. It will greatly reduce the megabytes from those pictures. I can only receive up to 36 megabytes, so your EHP must be less than that. These are examples of an aerial view, and I have other examples I want to show you. What we're looking at is where do we put information? If you're getting a generator, where's the generator pad going? Where is the trenching going to go from that generator pad? That's what they're kind of looking at. If you have, let's say, we need aerial photos, but we also need ground photos. Ground photos are from the outside and the inside, whatever projects you're doing, but you want to take a picture, something like this. In this picture, here's access control, here's a camera, you have a hallway, you can have one close-up photo of a door that you're planning on replacing, and if you're replacing 10 of them, point to different spots. I don't need 10 up-close photographs of doors without perspective. This gives everybody perspective. When you take a photo, try to get as much information within one photo as you can. All right, so this is showing multiple projects within one photo, which is great. Also, what we go, I'm going to go back to this. This is part of our PowerPoint. This is an aerial, and this is a great shot. What we like is a legend to tell us what we're looking at. Okay, you just don't put dots on there. We got to know what it is. So this is showing where the fencing is going to go. It's showing that on each corner they're going to have a light pole, and there's perimeter cameras. So all of this in one photo. So any external project, you want to put your information in the aerial photo. External projects are what I just showing right here. Doors that lead outside is an external project. Any windows that you're going to replace that are facing outside or that you're going to put blast shock film on is an external project. And that's how you want to cover it. You want to also put where gates are. They didn't put gates on here. You're allowed to have gates. Now, fencing. This is an important thing. Fencing should create an encampment, so to speak. You can't just do one line of fence and somebody has to walk 50 feet around and get on your property. That doesn't make it secure. Fencing should encircle your property or a portion of your property. We don't supersede any town zoning permits, so it's up to you to find out what size fencing you're allowed and if it's allowed in your front or not. A lot of times you can come right off the sides of your building and then encapsulate. That's what we're trying to do is keep unwanted pedestrians from walking onto your property easily. We really look at any fencing, security fencing, to be a 6-foot chain link fence, wrought iron or aluminum. I don't consider a 4-foot fence security in any way, shape, or form. 5, if your zoning permits from your town will only allow 5 is acceptable, but again, only because the zoning permits in your town. Here's another photo that shows multiple projects within one picture. Show access control, show proposed camera locations. I don't need a close-up here. Maybe one close-up, you pull back and show all the locations of what you're planning. That's a great way. Here's a contextual. Now, this is your building, let's say, right here. I don't need 7 photos. I really don't. Go across the street, take a picture. Go to an angle of your back, take a picture. FEMA is looking to see, are you rural? Are you city? What is your location look like? That also can be defined by the aerial, but they also want a couple of contextual photos. Here's a really great example of a fencing showing the gates, showing a aerial photo of the fencing, and then when they went to the ground, they're showing you with this line of where their proposed fencing is going to be on the ground. It's a great example. Fences and gates, okay? They differentiated. So now we know from the aerial how many gates they're going to have, and then here's a couple of the examples of where they're going to put their gates on a ground photo. Any projects that you use in the aerial photo are still going to need ground photos, and all projects within your building are required to have ground photos too. I did this. I think I sent this, guys, to you as an attachment. It's just an example. If you have blast shock windows and I don't see the windows from the aerial, it's okay. I have a legend, so I know what the yellow line means. I know what the red star means, and I know what the door means. What I always like to do is if you have these 4 lighting locations and you name them in the aerial, on the ground photo, if you're taking this photo from the ground, also label this the number 2 lighting. So when I look at the aerial photo, I know exactly where number 2 lighting is from that ground. I have a correlation from the ground and the aerial. I know exactly where it is. Not necessary, but it's always very good to leave no questions unanswered. The more questions FEMA has for these documents, they're going to send back, and it's going to delay you a couple of weeks. So once you fill out the EHP form, you send it to your liaison. Your liaison will look this form over. If there's any glaring issues, we're going to send it back to you with notes of saying, fix this, fix this, fix this. We're not going to play back and forth with you. We suggest that you take our advice, fix it, revise it, send it back to us. Then we'll send it on to FEMA on your behalf. If you don't do anything after we ask you to, we're sending it on to FEMA. We're not playing games. Like Margaret said, we have over 500 open organizations over 4 years. So we are busy. We're going to help you every inch of the way, but take our guidance, please. If you don't and we send it to FEMA, FEMA's going to send it back saying these additional questions must be answered before you can proceed. All right, so nothing, you cannot do anything, cannot start any project until we have EHP approval for your projects. The only thing that you can start without EHP approval are security guards. Okay, you can start security guards from September 1st of this year. That's the day, that's the year or the date of this grant, I believe. So they can start at that time. Again, go out, get your quotes. The lowest bid doesn't necessarily win the job. It's the bid that best suits the needs of your facility that should win the job, win the account. Okay, Margaret, back to you.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Okay, so critical information. This slide basically just recaps what Dave just said. Nothing can be purchased until you get that EHP approval, with the exception that he noted. So we're just going to go over some final components in this grant process. Dave will then finish up with the GTS information. But just to recap, by this point, you will have gotten your NJ Start registration. You'll have your signed grant agreement. We went over the budget annex, getting your information, budget items into GTS, and then doing your EHP document. So now the next step, or what you also will have been doing, is acquiring your vendors and your estimates. So you can do that. But once you have that EHP clearance, now you're ready to contract with the vendor that you have selected, and you're going to be obligating funds and creating purchase orders, and your intent to go forth with the work. So the next slide will shows as your equipment starts to come in and you've selected that vendor and he's ready, he's going to get the work going, and you have equipment coming in. Another requirement of this grant, there's lots of requirements, is to track the inventory. So we have an inventory sheet, and you want to keep that handy. And as the equipment is coming in, you're going to describe the equipment, say when it was acquired. You're going to note serial numbers where applicable. And then as you create your purchase orders, you can track those numbers in this document so that we can go over this when we do compliance monitoring, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. Your invoice numbers go here and all that other information. And even for projects where you don't have serial numbers per se, you just have windows or doors, you want to note how many, the quantity, and describe that. Just not going to have serial numbers to go along with it, but everything should be in this document. And that's a great reference for us when we come out. We want to see that everything is comprehensive and see all that was done. Okay, next slide. And one additional requirement that was asked of us for compliance monitoring, when you do have equipment coming in that has serial numbers, we wanted to do kind of like a snapshot, not look at every piece of equipment and every serial number, but we were asked to take photographs of equipment. So if your cameras come out and I guess you would have to do it if the cameras are coming out before a compliance monitoring visit. You would have that equipment. We're asking that you just select some equipment with serial numbers, take pictures of the equipment, and then the serial numbers will be cross-referenced against a vendor-issued document that has the serial numbers. So we want to marry the two items together, the actual serial numbers and those listed on the vendor-issued document. So that's something that will become part of your compliance monitoring package. Typically, it does say here that we would do some of this during a semi-annual compliance monitoring meeting, but if not possible, again, we would ask you to do some of that, and we can touch on that in the future more. You can ask us questions about it. Next slide. As far as compliance monitoring, I've used this word a lot. So the liaisons are asked to go out and do actual site visits, announced and unannounced. During the visits, we ask a lot of questions. We go over documents with you. We let you ask questions. We take pictures. And I just want to go over the two different compliance monitoring visits. The first is a 3-month visit, compliance monitoring visit. And this is just to ensure that you're following all of the guidelines that we've gone over and just to make sure you're launching properly. So this is a very streamlined compliance monitoring review, and just gives you an opportunity to, if you're confused about anything, to ask us questions and for us to just touch base with you. Next slide. The 3-month Oh, sorry, no, back. You already had it up. The 3-month compliance review is conducted virtually with your respective liaison. So we used to do them individually, but there's too much volume. So Dave suggested that we just have an online virtual review. So your assigned liaison will go over how to complete forms. And once completed, you must email your compliance review form to your liaison. And again, the purpose of the review is just to make sure you're up to speed on everything, that you're adhering to your critical deadlines. It's a very streamlined review. Next slide. The semi-annual review is a requirement for all awarded recipients. During this visit, this is much more comprehensive. We would be asking to take a look at that equipment inventory list. We want to see your winning and your losing bids. So make sure for each project that you hold on to your losing bids. We would want to see your federal and state debarment searches. We would come out and take photographs of any equipment that's been installed. If you have completed projects, we ask that you acknowledge DHS, and we will give you the language to use in an acknowledgement. You can, if you have fencing, you can put like a little plate on the fencing acknowledging. And if you have cameras, you can put like a plaque in the lobby acknowledging where the monies for this equipment came from. And you don't have to do it for every project. We also go over things like success stories. Over the course of the grant, if you do have a success story, we're going to give you a document so that you can write about that. We like to keep a record of these and just see how effective the grants are. So we'll go over that with you at the semi-annual review as well. Okay, so also as part of reporting, recipients are required to regularly update spending via the grants tracking system. And if you look back to that critical dates document that we went over, you're going to see one date pertaining to, oh, good, thank you, the 50% encumbrance and 100% encumbrance. And that's 2/2/26 for 50% and 2/1/27 for 100. And what that means, basically, once you select your vendor and you create your purchase order and you contract with them, we want to see in the system that at least 50% of all of your grant is obligated by that time, so that you've done this with, all different vendors and that it totals 50% by that date. FEMA likes to see and does reporting to see that your grant is moving along. So this is one way that we're able to track this, and we complete reporting for FEMA. They also can do on-site visits as well and be scrutinizing. So you need to make sure that you are adhering to this requirement. And just another note, you have to maintain records pertaining to this grant for 7 years after the grant period end date, and that would be August 31st, 2027. So that's the end date. So you have to keep records until August 31st, 2034. Next slide. Okay, requests for extensions. We did go over that only for compelling legal policy or operational challenges, but mostly not granted ever. So please be on top of what you need to do and get things done by the deadlines that are set forth. Next slide. This I'm not really going to go through too much, but it does indicate unallowable costs. Like, I'll just touch on a few: landscaping, attorney fees are not covered, license plate readers, no general operational expenses. So just be mindful of that. Next slide. And some costs that are allowable and that can be very useful to your agency, you are able to purchase maintenance contracts and warranties, and they can extend past the period of performance. The only really important thing to keep in mind is that you have to purchase these contracts at the outset. So make sure that they are indicated on your purchase order, or we will not reimburse them. And those were my last few tidbits. And now Dave is going to get into the grant tracking system and how to get reimbursed. Thank you this morning for your time. Again, congratulations to all of you. I look forward to working with my recipients, and I wish you the best of luck.
Okay. I will start sharing now. I know that's a lot of information right off the bat, and we got a lot more coming to you. But that's why we are here. We are here for your understanding and for your help. Payment reimbursements. Now, here's the thing. Do I need to expend all of my grant in order to get reimbursed? No, no one expects you to put out $150,000 right away. What this is it is a reimbursement grant, but that means that you go out, you do your due diligence, you get at least 3 quotes, you pick your vendor. Now you know what the dollar amount costs. You revise your annex, you send that to your liaison, we adjust GTS to match. We always want your annex to match the GTS expenditures. Once a project begins, let's say every vendor is going to require a deposit. No doubt about it. That's the check. That's the money you have to upfront. So if you're getting a $15,000 fence, they'll probably ask you for about $5,000. What you got to do, you have to pay that $5,000. Once the job starts, once that vendor comes out with the equipment and digs the first hole for your fencing, you may request payment for that deposit. What we need as far as proof of payment is the canceled check from the bank, front and back, stamped the back. If you're paying credit card, the end of month statement from your bank, don't make a snippet. We need that whole document. We need to see the bank information. We don't need to see your other payments. You can redact anything that has nothing to do with our grant. But that's how. So don't be afraid that you got to expend the whole 150,000 or whatever you guys were awarded. We'll do it in increments, no problem. But the whatever project that you paid a deposit for needs to start before we pay that deposit. So how do we get all this information? Well, you're going to put it in our grants tracking system, GTS. That's an acronym you're going to hear over and over and over again. I'm not going to read everything that's on this. I'm not that guy. What this basically is saying is that GTS is our repository for your information. Instead of piecemealing it and emailing it to us in parts, that's why we developed the grants tracking system, where you can upload your purchase order. And a purchase order for us includes the PO that you create based on the vendor's estimate, and the estimate I want to include, and the two departments on that vendor's estimate. Now, a purchase order that you create, if the vendor gives you a 5-page estimate, I don't expect a 5-page purchase order. Just give us a very good, if you're doing a CCTV system, 15 cameras and a CCTV surveillance system is good enough on your PO, as long as we have an itemized list from the vendor on their estimate. Okay, so why we're putting this information in is because you're uploading your POs. You're going to upload your invoice and your payments notifications to our grants tracking system. When you do it properly, then we, as your liaison, have access to it. When you're ready for a payment, you're going to send us a request for reimbursement form. I'll go over that. And then we, as your liaison, go into the GTS and extract the information that is needed, create a payment packet or a reimbursement packet for our fiscal department. If we have any questions, we're going to reach out to you to answer those questions. We're going to give our fiscal department a very sound package for you or from you so you'll be paid, but it needs to be complete, and we'll make sure it's complete. So that's why we're going to learn the grants tracking system. It's where you put your information and where I can come in and extract it from the grants tracking system. In order to do that, we need you to have a link to the grants tracking system, and that is done through registering with nj.gov. You're going to go into nj.gov. You're going to click login. And as soon as you log in to nj.gov, you're going to get this is going to pop up if you don't already have an account. If you have an account with us, if you're a past recipient, you do not need to do this. All right. Registration is a one-time. What we're trying to do is get our portal for the grants tracking system onto your nj.gov page. So this is what's needed. When you click again, you go into nj.gov and you click login. If you don't have an account, you're going to create an account. You're going to put your login information, your password that you're going to make up. All this is your information that we will never see. So you need to make sure you know it. So where you use the passwords, write them down. We won't know this. It's nj.gov is not Homeland Security. Once you finish this, you hit create an account. And what that does, I'm going to try to get so you see this a little better. All right, so once you create an account, once you create an account, after you create that account with nj.gov, you get out of it. Then you have to send the GTS administrator an email letting him know that you are now registered with nj.gov and you require the authorization code to get GTS onto your webpage. You're going to let them know who you are, the agency that won this grant, the name that you put on the IJ. We do things alphabetically. I don't know the 3 or 4 names that your facility has. We only know the name that you put on the IJ. So please use that name so we understand who you are. Our GTS administrator needs to know the name, and this is the name of the the person who's going to work the grant, okay, the project manager. So the name of the project manager, the agency, the facility who won, the project manager's phone number, and their email. Tell the administrator, the GTS administrator, that you need that authorization code and you need the username and password for GTS. They'll send the same thing in this email back to you. This is an example. Please don't use this number as the authorization code. It will not help you. Once you get that authorization code from our GTS administrator, go back in, log into nj.gov, and look up top. It's going to say, welcome, whoever you are. Now you know you registered. This is a one-time. You want to hit authorization code. You click that. You're going to copy the authorization code that our GTS administrator gave you, and you're going to put it into this spot. Oops. You're going to put it into here, and then you're going to hit finished. Again, do not use this code. Use the code that the GTS administrator sends you. Again, open up nj.gov, go into the authorization code right here, and put it in. This is a one-time event. What this is doing is creating the portal for our GTS system on your New Jersey page. So once you get this done, and once you put the authorization code in, OHSP applications will pop up when you log in the next time to nj.gov. There'll also be the grants management system, GMS. You don't want anything to do with that. GTS is our system for the nonprofits. That's the one you want to use. Okay, so when you want to get into GTS, you got to come into nj.gov and then click your GTS portal. This is what GTS will look like initially, and you log in. You log in using the user ID name, and the password that our GTS administrator gave to you. Okay, that's important. Once you get into GTS, there it is. So what I want to do real quick is kind of show you in a very quick way how to do that and what you're looking for. I'm just going to go to nj.gov. So nj.gov, this is what you want to hit log in. I already am logged in, so it's already going to send me my, let me put my password and username in. Once you get in here and once you've done everything, you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see OHSP applications. This is your portal to our grants tracking system once you do it correctly. You just click it. It'll come in here, it'll ask you for your username and your password. You put that information in and you click it. Now you're in our grants tracking system. I'm going to get back to this very briefly. So once you're in the grants tracking system, there's asking you for the fiscal year and the grant short name. Phase number, don't ever worry about. You are always, all you people right now are fiscal year FY24, and either your NSGP UA for the northern areas or your NSGP S, and that is for more of the southern counties. If you have any, well, you should know who you applied for when you did the IJ. If you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to your liaison, tell them the county you're in, and we'll tell you if you're NSGP UA or S. Once you put 24 and UA or whichever region you're in, you just hit search. Again, no phase number needed. When you hit search, this is going to pop up. Okay, not 21, it'll be 24. It'll say 37 million. I just didn't want to redo every slide. So we're in FY24. Always remember that. This will pop up. Now, you did not win 11 or 37 million. This is the dollar amount for the whole grant. You want to click sub-grant list and then find your name when the sub-grant list comes up. Okay. I'm not sure whether you get everybody or just you is going to pop up, but the point is you hit sub-grant list and then you look for your facility's name, and then everything we do is really under action. You're going to hit your budget list. Once you click budget list, you're trying to create a budget item. Now, what I've done is once you submit your annex to your liaison, they're going to create your acquisition categories. If all your money is going to equipment, you'll have all your money in equipment. If some of your money is going to security guards, personnel, is the acquisition category. The other acquisition categories are training, planning, M&A, and exercise. So those are all acquisition categories, what we're asking you to put in your budget items or your actual projects. So under equipment, let's say we're going to hit budget item, and then this comes up. It tells you have a planned amount of $100,000 and there are no budget items found. You can hit add a new budget item. When you do that, multiple drop downs are going to come up. I'm going to go through this and then we're going to take a break and then I'm going to do a live upload to show you guys that all of these slides, it's pretty simple once you really get the hang of it. So again, once I hit budget item, add new budget item, this is going to pop up. We're looking for security enhancement equipment from the drop down. We're going to find surveillance, warning, general. That gives you a large list of most of the projects. This particular case, I'm going to hit systems video. Everybody, when you hit project, there's only one option. You click this. NIP is National Infrastructure Protection Plan. It's part of our nonprofit. So please click it. Method of procurement. There's multiple to pick from. Bid is the first one. That's everybody will do a bid. That's what your method of procurement will be. The bidding process, trying to get at least 3 quotes for any project. We're going to keep this very high level. We put 1 in quantity. Why? Because CCTV system is more than just 15 cameras. It's the brackets, it's the wiring, it's the monitoring, it's everything involved. We're not going to go into the weeds. We're going to keep things very, very high level because these dollar amounts will change. Again, everything that you put in, every dollar amount in the IJ was a guess. We know it was a guess. Now we have a real dollar amount because you went through the bidding process, you picked your vendor, and now this is the dollar amount. Now, again, when you're going through the vending process, picking the vendor, sometimes it's not going to be apples to apples. That's okay. Sometimes you're not going to pick the lowest bid because it just doesn't suit the needs of your facility. We don't demand that you pick the lowest bid. We demand that you get the best, quality for protecting your facility. Get the best job or the best vendor that suits the needs of your facility. That's important. Fill this all out. Status, pending, job request. Basically, first time you're putting in, it's the price. That's all you really have to put. You can put hallelujah. It really doesn't matter. You hit save, but put price down because that's initially. This will be when things change. We'll go in there and we'll change it. Once you hit save, then this will pop up. You put this information and it popped up right here. It's pending. You have no ability to put a PO in because it's waiting for your liaison to review it and approve it. Review it. What does that mean? Well, once you put information into GTS, we're not a rubber stamp here. We're going to look at what you put in there. We're going to go back to your IJ. We're going to make sure that you had systems video on your IJ. Once we're happy with that, we're going to approve this PO. Once we approve it, it'll go approved, not pending. Then this grayed out PO list will not be grayed out and you'll be able to upload. All right, this is a reaction of, this shows the same thing. One that's pending, one that's been approved. The pending one is still waiting for your liaison to approve it. This one's been approved and that PO button is now accessible to you to upload a purchase order. Once you click that button, this is what you're going to see. Add a new purchase order. What is a purchase order? Well, a purchase order is a document that you create. It does not come from the vendor. Don't give us a vendor's quote and say it's a purchase order. You're going to create a purchase order based off of the vendor's quote. Again, if the vendor's quote's 5 pages, you need to narrow it down to a small purchase order. This is our fiscal's document. This goes to us. We view this as your stamp of approval for the job that's going to be done at your facility. You do not give a purchase order to the vendor. He wouldn't know what to do with it. This is for internal purposes and how you're gonna get paid. So create a purchase order, make sure that you put the name of your facility somewhere on this purchase order. That's what I want to see. I don't like this, the painting desert. Uh, we need to see the name of your facility on the purchase order and then the vendor's name on the purchase order. And we need to have a purchase order number somewhere on this, PO number 100. Create your own purchase order number and use it sequentially. It doesn't matter what project you're in. If you put project zero, your first PO is number 1 for CCTV, then you start on a project for your fencing, it's going to be purchase order number 2. Don't give me 5 purchase order number 1s. If I call you up and say, let's go over purchase order number 1, and you go, which one? There's the problem. So sequentially, always go 1, 2, 3, 4, or start it at whatever number you want. Not a lot of nonprofits have a fiscal department or have your own purchase orders. You can get a purchase order if you just go into any Word document and print in purchase order templates. If you can't get it, you can request a purchase order template from your vendor. We have them, we'll give it to you, not a problem. But what we consider to be a purchase order when you upload into our grants tracking system is the PO you created, the estimate that that PO is created from, and these 2 debarment searches, one from the state and one from the federal. All 4 of those documents are considered for us a purchase order. Now you need to combine those documents into one PDF before uploading into our grants tracking system. The reason being is our grants tracking system is old. All right, it was developed in 2005. If I put a PO in and then I uploaded the vendor's estimate, and then I uploaded the State Department, and then I uploaded the federal department, the only thing I'm going to have in that is one federal department search, because it takes what you got. If you upload something else, it kicks out what's in there in order to make room for what you're uploading. That's why when you're uploading your purchase orders and your invoices are separate, but your purchase order is 4 documents, the PO, the estimate, the 2 debarment searches. You scan them in, create one PDF document, and upload that PDF document into our grants tracking system. That will be the best thing for you. And I will give an example of that too in a couple minutes. I just went over everything. You can look this over yourself. Remember to have a purchase order number on your PO. Remember to have your facility's name. That's more important than anything. The facility's name. If you, as the project manager, are creating this purchase order, do not put your name in here. This grant was not awarded to you. This grant was awarded to your facility. So put the facility's name in there. Put your vendor's name in there that you're going to use, the winning vendor. Quantity items can be, 15 dome cameras and the total dollar amount for that project. That's what we're looking for. Payment date, the date should be on, you're going to have a date from the vendor. Put a date on your PO when you guys decide you're using that. Now, there's certain things when you go into GTS, they're going to ask you for a date. And we're going to go over why you're not going to use the date on the PO or the date on the invoice. You're going to use the date you're uploading into the grants tracking system. That will save error codes down the way. So the first thing we do is we look at our PO, and we know our PO is number 11001. Again, we're uploading a purchase order now. So it's 001, quantity of 1, always quantity of 1 on the annex, in the PO, everywhere. In the description, you can put how many. That's where we want the information. But put the dollar amount, no commas, no dollar sign, just the 0.00 or whatever cents. When you're putting in the date, I don't care what date the PO is cut. I'm going to have access to the PO, and I'm going to have access to your invoice. They'll have the dates on them. We're trying to avoid an error code. If I'm uploading today, I'm going to put 10/0/09/2024. It does the backslashes for you. Okay. So 10/09/2024 is today's date. If I'm uploading today, that's the date I'm going to use. If I'm uploading tomorrow, I'm going to use tomorrow's date. You put the vendor's name in the vendors in that. Don't touch this. We're going to eliminate this BO. BO means back ordered. If you put anything other than 0, you are now graying out. your invoice, you will not be able to continue until something is done about that. So if you call us up going, I don't know why my invoice is grayed out, I can't get into it, chances are you put another a number other than one in the BO quantity when you're uploading your purchase order information. So once you put this information in, you hit save. This is going to pop up. Okay, we're still dealing with the POs. This is PO information, but it's not the purchase order itself. You're going to see this purchase order number in black font. That means you put the information in here, but nothing is uploaded. When you upload something successfully, this black font is going to turn blue. So I put my PO information in. I have it here now. Now I want to upload my purchase order. I'm going to hit upload PO. Then what's going to come up is, where do you want to find it on your computer? Where on your computer am I looking for that PO? So you click this button, you go to the purchase order. In order to create a document, a PDF of 4 different documents, create a folder for OHSP reprogram or OHSP POs or an OHSP a folder on your computer somewhere. So now that's where you're going to go. You're going to upload your POs, your document into into your desktop. You'll have it there on your folder. So when you hit upload PO, this pops up. Where are we going to get it from? Hit browser, go on your computer, find the PO that you initially created, and you double click it. Once you double click it, it's going to come back to this. You have to hit upload document. If you don't hit upload document, this PO number will stay black font. And then you're going to look and go, something didn't work. Once you double click where you found it on your computer, you still have to hit upload document on your GTS. And as soon as you do that, by God, the black font turned blue with an X. That means that your liaison hasn't looked at it yet, but your liaison has access to your information. All right. And I can click on that blue PO and pull up your purchase order. My job as your liaison is to look that over before you move forward in the process. Once you have EHP approval, you have spending authority within this grant. You must go and do your get your 3 quotes. Pick the vendor that best suits the needs of your facility, and that is what you're going to base your purchase order on, and upload that purchase order into GTS. Margaret had looked over and she showed you the grants critical dates. The 50% obligation date is everything to do with purchase orders uploaded into our grants tracking system. The first 50% date on that critical dates doesn't mean that 50% of your grant needs to be spent down at that point. It means that 50% of your grant should be obligated through purchase orders that have been uploaded into the grants tracking system by that point. And the reason that's important is twice a year, your liaisons and myself have to do a report for FEMA. It's called the BISA report, the biannual strategic report, that FEMA wants to know everybody who has an open grant, how much they've obligated through purchase orders, how much they've been reimbursed, and how much they still have in unencumbered funds. I do this report at the end of the fiscal year and at the end of the actual year. So twice a year, we got to do this report. FEMA looks at this stuff. It's important. Don't wait until the last few months in order to put all your information in. We don't want it all in one time. We want to help you get paid all throughout the life of this grant. So if you're hard up for money, this is the best way. You put your PO in. Now you're going to click your invoice. Basically, the invoice is the same thing. When you click the invoice, and what is an invoice? The invoice comes from your vendor. Don't make up an invoice number. Use the vendor's number. All right. We are not making up numbers for invoices. We are using the vendor's number and the vendor's invoice. The check, even though this is really horrible and I'm sorry you can't see it, should match your invoice in most cases. In some cases, it won't. We can go over that individually. But that's what we expect as an invoice. The invoice and the canceled check from the bank stamped front and back. Combine these like we did before. Go in and create one PDF with both of these together and upload that into the grants tracking system. Remember, we're gonna hit invoice. This is what an invoice is, both of these together. Okay, I'll go over that also. Now, if your contractor is using subcontractors, you want to get as much information on those subcontractors, but you don't have to do a debarment search on the subcontractors. You're doing a debarment search on the contractor. Whatever information that contractor gets, what we really want is that subcontractor that you hired, their invoice, their information, and the dollar amount. Okay, let them know in advance that the subcontractor or the contractor, whether or not he's subcontracting or not. For the most part, they're not going to subcontract, but sometimes they occasionally do. Here's a point that's going to help all of you. If you're doing multiple grants, if you're doing, let's say, alarms, CCTV, and physical access control, and you're using one vendor for this, make sure the vendor gives you an estimate and or an invoice that subpars these different categories. You want a subcategory within the estimate to be about CCTV with a subtotal. You want a subcategory in this estimate of alarms with a subtotal. Same thing with the physical access control. What are you buying with a subtotal? Because all three of those are separate budget items. So you are required to make a purchase order separately for each one of those, but you can still use the same vendor's estimate. Just highlight particular budget item that you're uploading. That's important. All right. We need a separate PO from you for each project, even if you're using one vendor for multiple projects. You still need 3 quotes, 3 estimates, 3 proposals. Even if you're using one vendor for multiple projects, you still need to have that fulfilled. All right. This is a competitive bidding process. FEMA is all about that. So please, these are, just follow those instructions and you won't go wrong. Get your 3 bids. What Margaret said before, if you're finding it hard to get that 3rd bid, you're going to find it difficult sometimes with doors and windows. You still need to provide us information that you have tried. Make a list of all the different vendors you've reached out to and their responses. We're never going to allow you to have a sole source vendor. All right. You have to have we would love at least 3, but I am not going to make you dormant and waiting for that 3rd bid for 6 months. You're going to call your vendor, or you're going to call your your liaison up saying, listen, for 2 months, I've been trying to get this 3rd bid. I've contacted 15 different organizations. Here are their responses. We're going to say, you know what? You did your due diligence. You tried as hard as you can. Move forward with this grant. But again, case by case basis, and you need to reach out to your liaison if that's an issue. Okay. All right, attachments, already gone over this. This is in your PowerPoint. This shows you what we think is a PO, what it is an invoice, and the request for reimbursements. If you don't remember, a self-generated PO doesn't go to the vendor, it's for us, along with the vendor's itemized quote estimate proposal. The debarment searches from the state and the federal. Sign them all, or combine them all in one PDF document and submit that. Business license search, that's, if you want to do that, that's fine. It's not mandatory. It's not a federal mandate, but it might give you peace of mind for the business that you're hiring, making sure they have insurance, making sure they're bonded in case anything happens. Always a good practice to research the people you are hiring to do business at your facility. Invoice. The invoice comes from the vendor. Don't create an invoice. Use the invoice, and we need the proof of purchase. You have to prove that you paid this. Taking a picture of a front side of a check is not proving you paid. Having a vendor say thank you for the payment is not proof of payment. The proof of payment comes from the bank. Okay. We are growing with the times, so we know there's going to be some e-payments. We just need the proof of payment. So if you pay by electronic transfer of funds, you're going to get some statement back. That's what you're going to give us for a proof of payment with the vendor's invoice. Be sure to look over the John McCain Defense Authorization Act. This is about CCTV systems, cameras, and Chinese manufacturers. There's certain Chinese manufacturers we cannot use because they have surveillance and spyware within their equipment. So there is a list of who not to use. And well, that's right here. Most of these companies, stay away from. Okay? Hikvision, don't use them. You have this now. If you guys use these vendors and use this equipment, we cannot pay you. I'll tell you that right now. We will not pay that invoice, and you just bought yourself a system. These are cheaper. They're cheaper. That's one reason why they're that you might want to use them, but we will not pay you for these things. If you already have Hikvision, we're not going to add to an already corrupt system. You can, if you have CCTV on your IJ, but you already have some Hikvision, part of that payment is to get rid of the Hikvision and start it with a different company. All right. Any of these organizations you are not allowed to use. I'm going back one. So when you're ready, when you have your PO uploaded into GTS, when you have your invoices uploaded into GTS and your payment proof, we're not going to know it. You got to alert the your liaison that you want a payment. So you have to fill out a request for reimbursement form and email that directly to your liaison. You're telling him or her that it's time for payment. Then we go in and we look at your documents, create a payment package, and submit that on your behalf to our fiscal department. It all depends on how busy all of us are. If we are, if we're ready, you submit a request for reimbursement to me. If I get to look at it that day or the next day or the day after, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to extract the information. I'm going to create the reimbursement packet, and I'm going to send it to our fiscal department. If you guys have submitted for electronic payment as how you want instead of a check from NJ Start, your payment from you submitting a reimbursement request to getting paid can be within a week. It's usually that quick, but it also depends on the time of year, how busy your liaison is at the moment, and how busy the fiscal department is. But if you're waiting 2 or 3 weeks, certainly reach out to your liaison, give them a nudge, and say, "Hey, I submitted this a couple weeks ago. Have you looked at it yet?" And we'll get on it. Okay. Don't worry. Don't be hesitant on calling your liaison. But if you submit a request for reimbursement and then you call me the next day saying, "Where is it?" You're getting a little impatient. So give us a little time to do our job. These requests for reimbursements really don't take months. They don't normally take weeks. They should take within the week or two to get paid. And that's a great thing. Again, yes, we went over this. And I'm sorry, this says 19. Guys, we have to fix this. Oh, no, this was the time this came out. Actually, it was August 13th of 2019. Oh, there it is when this came out. This is a request for reimbursement form. You can certainly go on the website our website that Margaret showed you earlier. It will have under resources, request for reimbursement form, or you can just reach out to your liaison and we can email it to you. Okay. When you're filling this out, fiscal year is FY24. Funding stream is NSGP either UA or -S, depending on where your county lies. Award amount, put the total award amount. This document has formulas and it will do its thing. So if you have 150,000, put it in there. The first request for reimbursement is number 1. Second request will be number 2. Please don't hand in 3 number 1 requests. People do that. It drives us crazy. Sequentially, first one, second one, third one, keep it right. We'll have folders, we'll know it, but help us out, please. So first request is request number 1. If, as Margaret said, you have a vendor number because you were awarded a grant before, you will always and perpetually use that vendor number. You don't have to do anything with the NJ Start at this point forward if you already have your vendor number. That vendor number comes from NJ Start, and it starts with a V, capital V, 3 zeros, and 5 distinct numbers, which are yours alone. If you are a new recipient, you're going to follow what Margaret already told you. You're going to submit certain forms to FEMA, and you're going to register with NJ Start by those forms. And I have examples of those forms, and I'm going to go over them. But you're going to use your EIN number. Okay, that's that 22 dash or whatever, however it starts. It's a 9-digit number. That's after you register with NJ Start. Then you're going to use, the new people are going to use your EIN number up in this spot, always. The name is the name of your organization, not your name. Address of the organization, city, state, and zip code of your organization. Payment request. What am I asking for today? So if I have nothing yet and I'm going to ask for $5,000, I'm going to put 5,000 in here, and I haven't asked for anything yet. As soon as you put that $5,000 in here, it's going to do the calculations, and it's going to tell you that you now have 145,000 left in the remaining amount, and it'll say 5,000 in here. So whatever dollar amount you're requesting at that time goes in A, the dollar amount I'm requesting. This is what you've requested in the past. If I request $5,000 today and I request another $5,000 tomorrow because I started another project, and I just got that check tomorrow, we're going to think about total reimbursement amount to date as total reimbursement requested to date. Okay, so keep a running tally of how much you've asked, and this dollar amount remaining will always be correct. This will show you what's remaining. Let the formulas do their thing. Is the recipient acquisition detail attached? Click yes, and are highlighted, click yes, and I'll show you what those are in a little bit. So you need to fill out the fiscal year, the funding stream, award amount, request number, either the vendor number if you're an old recipient or the EIN number if you're new, organization's information, how much you're requesting today, how much have you been reimbursed to date, or at least requested to date. This will show that amount and what's remaining. We're going to need your name typed in here, and you're going to have to sign this. We cannot process it if it's not signed. It can be either electronic transfer, which does create some issues, or you can just print it up, sign it, and scan it back in. So have your signature. And the signature is anybody with spending authority, whether it's the project manager or whether you have to go to the administrator. It's people or person with spending authority at your facility. There will be no contractors on M&A signing this form. That's not them. They didn't win the award. Your facility won the award. So sign it, fill this out. Fiscal dollar, the number of the person's signature or the project manager and the project manager's email, the date it was requested. Everything after that is for us. It's my signature or your liaison signature, date we looked at it and created your package, and this is our fiscal department. The email is important because our fiscal department will submit an email to you letting you know that the email, that your payment has processed and what's remaining in your grant. It's a great document to have. So always put that email of the project manager in there so they get notification. Again, after this, it's just OHSP's portion to fill this out. But this, filling it out and sending this as an attachment to your liaison lets your liaison know you are ready for a payment, and your liaison, will go into GTS and extract that information. It's already there. If the information isn't in GTS and you submit this form, we're going to send it back to you and say, hey, you need to upload all your information into GTS. I have 500 other responsibilities. So it is your responsibility to learn how to upload. We will certainly help you. We'll do anything you can to get you familiarized with our grants tracking system, but it's important that you understand it. All right. Basically what I said, when you are ready for reimbursement, or when you've picked the vendor that you're going to use for any project, take the 2 losing bids and submit it to your liaison. Just send it to your liaison in an email as an attachment and say, these are my fencing losing bids. Do not upload losing bids into our grants tracking system. It's too much information, too convoluted. We are going to require you to submit your losing bids to us. It's just, this is probably the best way to do it. When you're about to submit, or when you've picked your vendor and created your PO, that's the time to send your liaison an email with the losing bids for fencing, for lighting, whatever it be, and they will put it in a file for you, for us. All right. What else will accompany the reimbursement form? You might say, all right, I'm looking for $15,000, Dave. And when I open up your GTS, there's nothing there for 15,000, and I have no idea what you're talking about. I know you want money, and I know stuff has been reimbursed, or stuff is in GTS, but I don't know what it is. That's where the recipient acquisition detail report comes in handy. You go to your home page, you're going to have a drop down. Don't worry about this yet. Just hit the drop down. It's the very first drop down, is the recipient acquisition detail. I call it the RAD. All right. Once you click that, your page is going to change. Again, fiscal year 2024, grant name, NSGP UA or NSGPS. You need to fill that out. Go down to the second rectangle. This will always be the dot here. You want to put the dot to recipient name, hit the drop down, look for your facility's name. Once you find it, hit view report. That report's going to pop up with information we just put in. Don't generate this report before you upload your information in the grants tracking system, because it doesn't help. So once you create this, highlight this and this. The reason why I said you might have 15,000, you might have multiple projects for multiple different costs. Highlight what you're asking reimbursement for, so your liaison knows where to go. You want reimbursement? I got to get the forms. What am I getting? If you just put 15,000 and left it like that, I don't know where to go to extract the information, and I don't have enough time to play around. Nobody does. You don't, and we don't. So let us know what you're asking us to do. The reimbursement form tells us how much money you're requesting. This form shows us, your liaison, where to get that information on your behalf to create a reimbursement packet on your behalf to send to our fiscal department. So those are the 2 things that I really need. What I'm going to do now, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to let you guys have a comfort break for 5 or 10 minutes. If you're brand new, please come back. I'm going to do an actual upload into the grants tracking system to show you it's not as difficult as all that just made it seem. Okay. I'm going to show that. I'm going to show a few other things that'll be important, and then we'll do the question and answer time. So as of right now, if you need a break, please take it and come back in 5 minutes, and we'll start an actual upload into the grants tracking system. I guess I should ask, does everybody want a break or need one?
Hold a moment.
Okay. 5 minutes starting now. I'll see you all at 11:03 or 2 or somewhere around there. All right, I've been trying to answer some emails, or I'm sorry, some questions as we're going along here. Please look at my answers. And then at the end of this, if we'll go over more of them, and I'll actually speak it instead of writing them down. Everybody needs to do the EHPs. Doesn't matter if you got a grant before and you already did an EHP check, you still need to do it. All right, no exceptions. Okay. I'll give it one more minute and then I'll jump back on it. All right, everybody, back again. Thanks for your patience. What I wanted to show you is how you guys are going to get into GTS. All right. If we're going to go through, I don't go through newjersey.gov, but you will. So once you set up newjersey.gov with all the information that you need to get into our portal to upload some information. You got to go to your login. Once you get your login, your password, you go down a little bit and you find your application. This is the grants tracking system. Once you get that authorization code and submit it. Yeah.
Dave, I'm sorry, your screen is not showing up.
I'm not, that would help if I shared my screen, wouldn't it? Thank you. All right, let me know if you're here.
Yep, good.
All right, excellent. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay, so once you go in, I'll just go backwards. Once you go into My New Jersey, you hit login. Great, I shouldn't have gone out. All right, GTS. So once I'm in GTS, what we're doing is we're going to upload a document, okay? So all of you guys, we're going into FY24. Short name is NSGP UA or NSGPS, one of these two. A lot of other information in there, a lot of other grants that Homeland Security deals with. These are the only two that concern you guys. So I'm just going to go into the UA, which means urban area, no phase number, and just hit search. And I timed out, of course. All right. Let's try this. I'm not going to wait. I'll get in there my own way. Okay. Sorry about this. All right. So I'm going to get into GTS. You guys go in through New Jersey, the nj.gov. So once you click, this is your home page. That document that I was just talking about, the recipient acquisition detail, click, you're on the home page. You want to go home, click reports, very first report, fiscal 24, NSGP UA. Yeah, click here to find the name of your recipient. Okay. I'm just going to pick somebody and then you hit view report. Now, right now, I've been playing around with this. If you're part of this organization, I just needed, I needed a test. So whatever I put in here, I'm going to delete. But this shows you right now, if I create this recipient acquisition detail report, I didn't upload a PO. I haven't uploaded the invoice or the invoice information. There's no reason to do it yet, but that's quickly how you get into the GTS report. Home. So what we're going to do is we're going to upload a purchase order. We want to get into the correct year and grant. Subrecipients. Now, again, I started this workshop letting you guys know that we were very delayed in FEMA giving OHSP our award. Normally by this time I'd have everybody in this in GTS uploaded. It's our responsibility to get your information in there. What we need the annex for is to put you guys sub acquisition or your acquisition categories in. But right now, when you go in here, don't be excited. You didn't win 32 million. This is the total dollar amount of the grant. You click grant list. And right now I only have 2 of you in there. There'll be either a very long list or you're only going to see yourself. I'm not sure how you guys view it. I'll have a list of all 118 from the NSGP UA organizations. So let's say this is you. You have 150,000 in target hardening. You go in, everything we do is under action. So you find your organization's name, you go across and you hit budget list. All right, so once you give us that annex, we're going to create your acquisition categories. I just put one acquisition category to make it very easy of $150,000. Once you're ready to put your budget items in, which are your projects, you hit budget item list. Okay, so I already put this in, but I'm going to put it in again. This is something that I've already looked at. I did the core capabilities and I've approved it and is ready for you to upload your PO. But how do I get to this point, quite frankly? the first thing you do is, let's pretend this isn't here. I'm going to add a new budget item. That budget item is going to be security enhancement equipment. Now, if you're going to get a generator, from this drop down, generators are under power equipment. Only one option, generators. Okay. If you're going to, that's one of the, I wanted to show you that because it's something that a lot of you have, or a few of you have, but you need to know how to get there. Most of you guys are having equipment under physical security enhancement equipment. Click that. You're going to have a subcategory. It's going to ask you explosive devices. If you're getting blast shock impact film, you're going to want to pick that and pick blast shock impact film. Or if you're getting trash recyclable blast resistant, that's where you find it. So anything with explosive is under that. Most of you guys are going to click surveillance, warning, access, intrusion control, general. This gives us a very large drop-down list of all your different projects. The project we're going to put in today is for CCTV surveillance system. So you have a subcategory, a subcategory, and the actual item. That's how you're going to find it, okay, when you add a budget item. Everybody is going to, it's all projects are under target hardening. All projects are bid, first one. MOU is memorialization of understanding. It's not required. Quantity, we're going to keep everything at 1. Unit price, what is the dollar amount of your project? Your PO, your purchase order, should reflect the total dollar amount of this particular project. In our case, it's CCTV. In most cases, it's going to be a lot more expensive than $6,750, but this is just an example. So we're going to put the total dollar amount of $6,750. How do I know that? Well, I know that because I have it in, I'm trying to find it for you. What I did was I created, I went and did that step. I created a purchase order, and I created that purchase order, and I'm going to show you it if it will allow me to. All right, this is a mock-up, but I created a purchase order. Have your agency's name on the purchase order, a PO number, the vendor's name, XYZ, and the date. The number, the agency's name, and the vendor's name are the most important things. Quantity can be 15 cameras, okay? Individual camera system at $450 a piece equals 6,750. That's as simple as it gets. That's all really we are requiring of you. You might have a 5-page quote, but I made this very simple. So this is one PDF, which includes my PO, the quote, and the debarment searches. This is how you want it to look like. On this matter, we have a vendor, XYZ Corporation, who is also trying to sell us a 1 terabyte DVR. We already have terabyte DVR. We don't need that. We're not interested in it. We're only interested in the 6,750 for the 15 cameras. That's why I made the PO like this. This is what your stamp of approval is. This is what you want. Again, doesn't need to go and shouldn't go to the vendor. That will be a choice between you and him talking about this. But for our sake, if you don't use something that they had on their quote, you'd want to leave it off of your purchase order if you're not buying it. So 6,750 is the net price for these 15 cameras. I make it simple. It's individual cameras. We're not talking about the brackets and the wiring and the installation. It's all part of it. And that should also be itemized on the vendor's quote. If the vendor doesn't give you a really good itemized quote, send it back to them, tell them you need an itemized quote. Make the vendor do the work, okay? Again, if you're getting multiple projects, have them in one quote, subcategorize each project so you know that CCTV is going to cost me $6,750. Physical access control is going to cost me another 15 grand, all right? Have them subtotal it instead of you going line by line trying to figure out what's what. This also is included in the XYZ Corporation. No match is found in my federal department, and no match is found in the New Jersey department. All right, so I know I have that. What I'm going to put here, description, is the 15 cameras. and installation. Down here, we're just going to put price because it's the initial price of what you know to be true. Hit enter. When you do that, this is what's going to come back. It's pending until I take a look at it. You can't advance anything until your liaison. And the reason being is just because you put it in a GTS, we as your liaison are going to go and look at your IJ that you submitted and going to make sure CCTV system is in your IJ. If you upload a project that is not in your IJ, we're going to delete it and kick it out and let you know you cannot do this project. It's not in Section 4 facility hardening of your IJ. But now we have this information in. I'm going to approve it. Let's just say I've already approved it. I got to do my thing to approve it. So now next time you come in here, you're going to see CCTV security videos. You're going to see the core capabilities, yes, and you're going to see you have access now to the PO, and it's been approved. That's what you want to look for. So now you can upload your purchase order. You click PO. What are you doing? You're going to add a new purchase order. Now, I already know what my purchase order number is because I created that PO already. It's PO number 001. And again, next time, do another purchase order. 002, 003. Quantity will always be 1. Unit price is the dollar amount of the whole projects, 6,750. The date the PO is cut. Remember, I was telling you, don't worry about the date on the PO. It's the date you're uploading the PO into our system. Use this date, and you will never get an error down the road because error codes will come in. It's an archaic system, but it serves its purpose. So it's today's date, which is 10/09/2024. Happens to be my wife's 60th birthday today. So happy birthday to Beth. Here's the description. PO, 15 cameras. You can copy and paste from what we put before, but I didn't copy it. And installation. Keep that BO number 0. Otherwise, you're going to have to, it's going to stop you from advancing any further. Fields Electric. And then that's the vendor's name. And we hit save. What did I do wrong? No. Okay. So then we hit save. So kind of already was in there. So PO list, add a new purchase order. I thought I just did that. 001. I did something wrong. Quantity of 1. Unit price 67500. Today's date. I was too worried about my wife's birthday. 15 cameras. Vendor's name, Fields Electric, hit save. This just means that within the system, there are other PO number 1s. That's okay, just hit save. So now you've created this line item. It's a budget item for your CCTV system. The PO number 1, remember I was telling you before, it's black font. I can't upload, I can't look at it. And it's pending. So, what can you do? What we want to do now is to upload the purchase order. It's going to stay pending until you put a PO that I can look at. So you want to hit upload PO. It's going to ask you where within your computer are you going to find the file you're looking for. So you click that button. I happen to have a folder ready. My PO is right here. Double click the purchase order that I have ready, that you will have ready in a folder that you created. So I double click purchase order. Notice it didn't change. I have to hit upload document. Once I hit upload document, bam, that black font turns blue. Now I can click on it and you can click on it. And the purchase order that you uploaded is there for all to see. We need that to happen. Once you get that done, I'll come in there eventually and I'll approve it. You can still upload the invoice without my or your liaison's approval. Uploading the invoice is the same thing. Remember, your invoice and your PO are 2 separate documents. You got to get to the invoice through your PO though. So once we have this and you're ready now, when you're going to upload your invoice, that means that you've made a payment and the vendor gave you an invoice and you made a payment on that invoice. Now you want payment from us. So you got to upload the invoice. So you hit that, add a new invoice. Now we're going to see, you got to use the invoice number that the vendor gave you. All right. In my instance, I have a mock and the invoice number is 123. All right. Same thing as the purchase order. You put the date you're uploading the invoice. I'm going to have a copy of your invoice that you submitted, and it will have the invoice number and the date on it. I need you to not create error codes. So I'm uploading today. I'm going to put today's date there. I'm going to do it twice. Okay. Date received from recipient. That is something OHSP will put in there. It's in black font. Don't worry about it. You only want to worry about the blue font. Quantity, again, 1. Unit price. Now, what am I asking for? The unit price, I'm putting in the dollar amount that was paid, not necessarily the dollar amount that the invoice states. Now, what does that mean? The invoice is for the whole thing that the vendor gave you, but he's only asking for half that dollar amount. So we created, we're paying him from a check that you create and paid him $3,375. So we have a sample of the check. It's been through the bank. The bank stamped it and sent it back to you. This is the canceled check with the bank, or from the bank with the stamp. So I have a check and the canceled check and the invoice. That's what we're going to upload. But I'm going to upload the dollar amount I paid, not the dollar amount of the whole invoice. So that being said, let's move that. The dollar amount is for the check. Remember what I paid, 33750.00. If I put the total dollar amount but only paid half of it, the system only knows what you put in there. It's going to think it doesn't have any more room. You already used the whole dollar amount. So put what your payment is towards it and put it in there. Partial payment. Hit save. Oh, I put 33,000, not 3,000. Sorry. Okay. So now we also want to upload that invoice. So you want to click upload. Same thing. Choose your file. It's going to find the file that I had, and I'm going to hit sample invoice, my invoice. So I'm going to double click that. Then I hit upload document. That black font turns blue. You've just uploaded your invoice and I have access to it. The invoice is for $6,750. The check was only for $3,375. That's what I put in there, $3,750 or whatever, $375. I did that wrong. That should be $375. So the dollar amount will match the invoice and the payment. If I put the whole $7,000 in here and the next payment I tried to put in there, it's thinking I've already been paid the whole thing. It's not as complicated really as it seems. When you upload it a couple times, you're going to get the hang of it. If you try, all of those arrows that I have on my PowerPoint will really walk you through this process. If you're still confused, you call your liaison. We will walk you through this process. We'll share our screen. We'll do whatever we can do to help get you better understanding of this process. So that's how you upload into the grants tracking system. Now, there were a couple documents that I did want to go over real quick. We have a thing I created a while ago that, William, I want you to send this to everybody that's participating today. We all know that 100% of what we shared today is not going to stay in your mind. How could it? Okay. I created something that is going to help you get started where you should be all along the way. It's going to give you a good idea of where to register. This is the email address for New Jersey Treasury of where you got to submit and register with NJ Start if you haven't done that already. Again, this is how you're going to get paid, but this gives you a good amount of information that helps you right off the bat. Also, a slide that shows you what a PO is, what an invoice is, and that the requests for reimbursements need to come directly to your liaison. You don't upload these requests for reimbursements into GTS, we'll never know it's there. Okay, so that's something you need to do. What else have I want to show you? When you're registering with NJ Start, here is an item. I sent this to you guys as a example, and I'm trying to find it. So the vendor questionnaire, you are trying to register with NJ Start so you can get paid. Again, if you already have a vendor number, don't worry about this. This is for new people only. If you've never had a grant with us, you have to register with NJ Start in order to get paid. I'll reiterate what I said before. Homeland Security is the recipient of these grants. We get the dollars. We create an account with NJ Start, the whole dollar amount. Then you as a subrecipient will draw down off of that dollar amount in NJ Start or New Jersey Treasury, but you got to register with them. So I've sent you guys a blank version. So send the blank version filled out to NJ Start. And again, that is through that one document or that one email address that I showed you. Where was it? That it looks like Auntie. I'll show it again. This is your W-9 form. This is what will register you with New Jersey Treasury. So you have to fill this form out. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the ACH form. Here's the vendor form. So I gave you a blank copy and I gave you a copy that I did this to so you get a better understanding. When you fill this out, everybody as a nonprofit will click this. You will all put your own organization's name, and if you're doing business as a different name, put that there. We need the physical address of your facility, the city, the state, the zip code of your facility. Taxpayer ID, your TIN number, is also your EIN number. It's also your 501c3 number. It's all the same number. I want your EIN number in here. That's what we want. You need to check that this is employer identification number, your EIN number. I've did the research. You are code number 1. Trust me. Put 1 in here. I'm trying to get the red tape out of you guys, and I've completed this form basically as much as I can for you. You're going to need your signature and the date you do it. Enter the code listed below that best describes your business's primary function. OT, put all OT in there. Other vendor, and then put nonprofit corporation. That's who you are, OT and nonprofit organization. Put your project manager's name, phone number, email in there. If you're interested to get direct payment from the bank, you got to check this and include that ACH form. If you only want to check from FEMA from when they pay you and you're willing to wait for that check, you don't need to do that. But if you all want the electronic payment, you got to click that. The very last thing is put C, corporation. This is what you need to put in there. This is why I submitted it and gave this to you. The ACH form is your banking information. I can't fill this out for you because I don't know your banking information. The only thing that you need to know from my point of view is this vendor number here. We keep telling you we're getting away from vendor numbers, but they keep asking for them. This vendor number is honestly asking for your EIN number. There's 9 digits. Leave these 2 blank. A vendor number is 12 digits anyway. So we're looking on the ACH form. This means your EIN number. So put your 9-digit EIN number in here and then all your own banking information, which I can't help you with. You're going to submit this ACH form along with this filled out W-9 form. You're going to fill those documents out and you're going to submit them to, and I know I had it, to your, let me find it. It's important that you fill it out and send it to the right place. Anybody help me what number that was in? Bump, bump, bump. I'm looking for the email address in which you send this document to.
That's at the beginning of my
Okay.
presentation.
I know we already did it.
Let's see.
This one.
Treasury.
Okay. So if you look on slide 4, okay, this is where you're going to email your W-9 and your ACH form to this email address. One note is when you submit this for registration with NJ Start, also CC your liaison. That way, when your form gets back and they, New Jersey Treasury completes it and registers you, we'll get that notification along with you. So when you submit this, the W-9 and the ACH form to NJ Start or New Jersey Treasury to this address, also include a CC of your liaison so we can get that information back with you. That helps. And that when you're filling out the request for reimbursement form, that's what you want to put on the very top of that request for reimbursement form. For these new people, you're going to put your EIN number after you've registered with nj.gov. Right here. So again, it's either your vendor number for the people that have it or your EIN number for all you new recipients. Okay, was there something else, Margaret, that I was planning on showing today?
Nope, I think that's it. Those 2 forms we said. Yep.
Vendor questionnaire. Yep, I think we're good. We'll certainly start the question and answer period now. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer any of them. If not, thank you so much for spending your time with us this morning.
I think they're questioning what they signed up for.
So for those who have a question, if you could use the raise hand feature, that way we can find out exactly who you are.
And I have been trying to go along here and, oops. I've been trying to go along and answer questions as we go. And listen, that's why we all have liaisons. Your first notification that you guys won an award and how much you won also had the name of your liaison on that email. And I am the grant coordinator for the state. So for any reason, please always reach out to your liaison first. If you're finding it difficult, you can always reach out to me. I'm the grant coordinator for everybody's grant.
So David, we have John Collins.
And Ronald, there's a feature here that you hit raise hand. You don't physically have to raise your hand. Up on top. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, John?
Go ahead. Yep.
Okay. All right, Dave, can you hear me, Dave?
Yes.
Okay, hi, Dave. Happy birthday, Beth. God bless.
Thank you, John.
So, Dave, I think you went fast. Section C of EHP for project type details.
Okay.
So you have purchase of equipment, that box checked. But what about 3, Dave? The renovations, upgrades, modifications. If you're, putting in new glass and doors, is that not renovations, upgrades, modifications?
Well, absolutely. I have 3,
Okay.
1 and 3 checked. They should be checked.
Oh, okay. So then do
1
that.
and 3 right here.
Okay.
1 and 3 should always be checked.
Got it.
Anything you're doing, any installation is a renovation.
Okay. And then the last thing was for section D,
Yes.
project details, project installation. I missed what you said. You said something right in there that done by bidding or something like that?
Well, yeah. The project installation is a lot similar to project description from the first page. Don't look at the first page for information. You don't tell FEMA to go back and look somewhere else. We put the information again in here. What we're not asking in this D, you're going to state what you're buying and where is it going. The only other difference between project detail on the first page asks, what are you buying? Why do you need it? And where's it going? This is asking where, what are you buying basically, and where are those renovations going to be taking place, and how are they taking place? They are going, let's say I'm, putting in a 1,000 linear foot, 6-foot chain link fence, and it will be installed through the bidding process and the winning contractor. That kind of thing. That's where the difference is. You're not going to be able to talk about each project in this small space, which is why, again, we want you to create your own addendum. It's just a Word document and title it addendum. Fill out some information as best as you can, because this EHP is writable. It's not expandable. So every one of you will have to eventually create an addendum. You're going to submit the EHP as as an item, as an attachment. You're going to include all the pictures as another attachment, and then you're going to include the addendum as an attachment. So 3 attachments to your liaison for the EHP. It should have all the information. Again, your liaison will review the details that you put in and let you know if you're missing details and that you should add. All the pictures have to be color. You all need to have an aerial photo, and you all should include a legend when you're trying to explain where things are going. Okay. Let me see if I wanted to see something else. Yeah. So, the example in our workshop has the legend. I just did a quick, if you remember, going backwards a little bit, I show a legend. You got to let us know what your symbols mean. Okay. Some people put it a large page, put all of their detailed legends in that, and then go down the next in every photo and then put their symbols. But you got to tell us what these symbols mean somewhere. And it's always good to do it on the page. Now, I took a picture. I took this off the internet. Again, aerial photo, Google. Got this, did this explanation. If you're gonna, you're gonna obviously have more than one photo. I grabbed the photo, I put it onto a Word document. You can shrink it. You should be able to get 2 photos per every Word project, every Word document. And then, at the bottom of the photo, click enter, and a new page will come up. And you just keep doing that until all your photos are on one very large Word document, and save it as a PDF. It will greatly reduce your megabytes. Anybody else?
Sure. Next up will be Haney.
Hello, you're on. Please ask a question.
They may be muted.
Okay, you're on. Please unmute. If we have the question already written, what is it, William?
No, she just raised her hand.
Oh. Yep. All right. So, question is, I was having trouble unmuting. I apologize. So we're the recipient of a previous grant through Homeland Security.
Okay.
So
how long ago?
Last year, actually.
Okay.
Last year. So I filled out the W-9 and our electronic deposit, and I actually have stuff in GTS. Is this GTS separate from your GTS? Do I need to?
No. All right. Here's the issue. All right. You have a grant, but yes, our grants tracking system is separate, but our fiscal department is the same. Okay. If you already have the ACH and W-9, you've already registered with New Jersey Start or NJ Start, you're good.
Okay.
The only thing you need to do is the registration for the grants tracking system for our specific grant. So the only thing you really need to do is submit information to our GTS administrator, letting him know that, and register. Obviously, you've already got our GTS portal into nj.gov. So the only thing you want to do from your point of view is request this year's username and password for GTS. That will change from year to year and from grant to grant. That's the only thing that's going to change. Every year you will need a new username and password for GTS, because if you won an award in 2020, you can't go into our system in 2024 and start manipulating things. It's there for a reason. But if you've already registered with NJ Start, you're already done. Okay, so there's nothing need to do there. And if you already got the portal into your grants, nj.gov, if you already got that portal, then you don't need to register with them either. So if you already got your registration for your EIN for NJ Start, you're good. And if you already have your portal for nj.gov, you're good. You just need to let the GTS administrator know you need this year's username and password for GTS.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
Yep.
Second question is, and this is with respect to the audits of between 100 and 750,000 annually. Yes. If we're spending down on the current, the previous.
Cumulative, sir. Yes, it's cumulative. What this means, and this is kind of new for all of us. What's going to happen? We're not initiating any response from the AG's office. What happens again, a fiscal year starts July 1st and ends June 30th. That's a fiscal year. So you have 3 years to this grant. If you expend more than $100,000 in any one fiscal year from July 1st to June 31st, you will subject yourself to a fiscal audit from the AG's office. It's not guaranteed. We're not going to make them aware, but if you get an email stating from the AG's office requesting information, it's because you probably expended more than $100,000 in any one fiscal year. That does include any federal grants payments within that. So if you have a federal grant and you also have a New Jersey grant, and you also have some other grant that's a federal grant, all making payments within that year, it's cumulative, not just my nonprofits. So understand that.
Thank you. Answers the question.
Yep. That's what I do.
Right.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next, we have Mantu Patel.
Yeah, hi, Dave.
Hi, good morning.
So the question is, I know we're supposed to, one of the things is to complete annex, and the annex lists out all the projects that were there in IJ, and including the costing. Now the costing, we list out the cost, and it should be the same as what we had in IJ.
Initially, okay. So listen, everybody. Your IJ, we all understand it was a guess. You looked at a project. At this point, there are no quotes that you need to do. Okay, you don't have to give me the actual dollar amounts. What you want to put in the initial annex is everything that you had in Section 4, facility hardening, on your IJ. You'll have the AEL numbers there. You'll have the dollar amount that you put in there, which are guesses. This is why this annex is a internal document. This annex, once you go through the bidding process, even for just one project, let's say I go for the bidding project for alarms. I had guessed that it was 10,000. Now, in reality, I have my 3 bids. I picked my vendor, and it's actually 15 grand is the one I'm going for. Well, I have to revise this annex. I have to take $5,000 from somewhere and roll it into this project. So you take 5 grand from a lesser prioritized project. You'll never get more than the 100,000 or the 150, so don't go over it. This is showing us, again, how you were robbing Peter to pay Paul. If the alarm is now 15,000, you got to take 5 grand from multiple, some from some, or just take 5 grand from the BISR, make that 12 and make this 15. Send that to your liaison, then they'll go into GTS And even though you might have put your budget item in for 10,000, now we have a known dollar amount. We know that alarms is 15. We're going to change that to $15,000. We're going to reduce the other dollar amounts within GTS. So your annex matches the exact projects in GTS. Now you can create a PO for $15,000 for a budget item that's $15,000. It all matches. That's ultimately what we're looking for. Now, that's just one project. You might just go out and get one project and finish it and go out and get another. So this annex will be a living document. It will change for every time you go out and do the due diligence, get your 3 quotes, pick your vendor. By picking your vendor, you have a known dollar amount. You revise your annex yet again and send it to your liaison. Ultimately, what we do is we have those annexes and we create a folder for it. So we know what your grant started with, what your grant's going to finish with. I'll just go into this real quick. GTS, under management, we have folders for everything. We have UA annexes. This is everybody's annex. You all get your own folder. Now it depends on how many times you've changed it. Current is always the current annex. Current should always match your GTS entries. This is on our end. This is just a folder that we've created on your behalf. But sometimes the annexes will change. Sometimes I'll have 5 or 6. It's always, for us, the current annex, always liaisons. The annex in the current folder should be the actual current annex and should match their GTS entries in their budget items. That's how we keep control of everything. That's how we know where your grant is going, how many times you've changed it, how many times you've sent us an email changing the annex. So we always look at, you give me an annex initially, I'm looking at your IJ. I'm going to see what you had as far as your projects in the Section 4 facility hardening, and I'm going to match it. So don't give me an annex with a project that's not in your IJ. We're going to send it back to you and say, revise your annex. This is an unallowable project. It's not in your IJs. We will not ever, at this point moving forward, give you a different, if you have your IJ Section 4, you have 4 projects, you can eliminate a project because one project costs more than you thought, but we're never going to add a new project. That's an investment modification. That's working backwards. You are stuck with the projects that you put in the IJ. If you let a IJ writer do this and you have no idea what they put in as far as your equipment in Section 4 facility hardening, I suggest you get a copy of your IJ because those are the only projects you will be allowed to do. Okay?
So basically, I understand. Thank you so much. Now, I guess the follow-up question is, if one of the project ended up costing more, now I have to absorb that over.
No, again, listen, sir, I just explained that. If this project, PAX, ends up being $100,000, we want you to complete the project. No, you're going to take away money from most of these other projects and roll it into the PAX so you cover your expenses. If at the end of the day, you are spending more than the allotted amount that you were awarded, that's on you. But what we want you to do is use federal FEMA money to pay down most of these projects. If at the very last project is still costing more than the 30 grand that you have left, you got to pay the difference. We want these projects completed. There are no half-completed projects because you didn't have enough money. You take money from other non-prioritized projects and roll it into the most prioritized. Now, I don't want 7 projects rolled into one. Nobody wants that because you were awarded this grant based on your IJ. And you were awarded it because the IJ equipment in Section 4 facility hardening matches the security gaps that were found in your risk assessment. That's why all these are together. You were awarded this grant because the projects that you're going to buy will mitigate these now known gaps. If you start trying to say, well, you know what, I really don't want PAX. I didn't put doors in. I'd rather have doors. Guess what? There are other grants along the way. You don't have doors because it wasn't in section 4 facility hardening, not this year. Okay. If your project's costs a lot more than you thought, again, you're rolling your extra money, you're rolling your money from non-prioritized projects into that to cover your costs. If you go over the dollar amount that you were allotted, 100,000, 150, everything you go over is on you for your payment, not for future grants. It's not a retro grant. We're not going to pay for the CCTV system you installed this summer for this grant. We're not doing it. It's not retro. It's what you put in the IJ, what is yet to be installed in your facility, and what you have approved for.
And thank you so much. And the last question is, and somebody also I think have it in chat box, is so one EHP for each project, or EHP can have all projects?
God, no. How much work do you want us to do? Understand, we have 248 application or recipients. That means 248 EHPs are coming to your liaisons spread out. Everything that you're requesting should be on one EHP.
Thank you.
That's why you have an addendum. This is why I showed you that. The addendum is going to show you, what are you buying? This is not one camera. Let me do another EHP. This is showing everything you're going to buy, everything that was in your IJ. That's what you're asking for. Now, here's a good thing. If you're getting, and you're not sure whether you're going to get bollards or boulders or planters for vehicle protection, on your EHP, always put the worst case scenario. Put your bollards. Bollards have ground disturbance. If you put bollards in and you get approved for ground disturbance, which is what we're trying to do, and then you decide, you know what, I don't want bollards, I want planters. They're the same project. It's all the same project wall. It's just that bollards require ground disturbance and boulders and planters don't. So if you ask for bollards first and you get approved through EHP for bollards and then change your mind to planters, it's okay. You don't need to revise your EHP document. They don't care. There's no ground disturbance with planters. You're putting it on a thing and filling it up with dirt and blocking a truck trying to get through. If all you put down is planters or boulders, and then 5 months down the road, you realize you really want to do boulders or bollards, you're going to have to revise your EHP because it's ground disturbance. That's what we're looking for. Remember, ground disturbance. Are you affecting the water table? Are you affecting the EHP? I'm sorry. Are you affecting the water table, or are you affecting, the water table, or what's the other one? The watershed. So that's what they're looking for. But everything on the EHP, and again, go for the harder amount. If you're still unsure, you put everything on there. Once you get approved for everything on your EHP, you can still, you know what, the chain link fence costs more than I thought. I'm getting rid of the physical access control and the lighting and moving that money into the chain link fencing. Just you need to put the projects in your EHP, because if you don't put a project and then later on it might be in your IJ, but you failed to put it in your EHP, now you're going to have to revise your EHP again. We don't want to do that. That's working backwards. Put all your information in the initial EHP and then make your decisions later on down the road. When you get cost analysis, when you do your due diligence and get your 3 quotes and you go, oh my God, did I way underbid that? Or man, I way overbid that. If you overbid, let's say, you have lighting, you thought it was 12,000, it ends up being 7. Well, you can roll in, the alarms, hey, I was going to only alarm 3 doors. Now I can alarm every door. You've already been approved. These projects that you've been approved of can be expanded upon because, again, it was a guess. You think you need 12 doors or 12 alarms. In reality, when you start going around, you might need more. So that's why the options open to, again, you are limited to the projects and only the projects that are in facility hardening section 4 of your IJ, but you can, the quantity and the dollar amount can be changed. Okay. That's as simple as I can put it. You thought you might need 20 cameras, you might need 35 once you saw all the blind spots. So you're going to put more money into another project, take money from away. You're never going to get more than that 100,000 or whatever you were awarded, but it's up to you of how you want to distribute it. Okay, you just have to use the you can eliminate projects from your from your IJ. You just can't add new projects.
Thank you.
Okay, up next is Michaelos.
Go ahead.
I
Don't murder their last names, please.
Yes.
Question?
You're on mute, sir, still.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. What can I help you with?
Yeah, quick question. Right now, we're working on an NJ security grant projects that we got approval last year. They've already done a New Jersey security grant historical check. Do we have to redo this again?
Sir, this isn't New Jersey. This is a federal grant. You
Right.
are obligated to do the EHP, no exceptions. The only exception of not doing an EHP is if you have 50% or money towards security guards and money towards planning or training only.
So
Then
we have to redo the historical check, is what you're saying.
Again, you did a historical check with New Jersey. You didn't do one with the feds.
Okay.
The federal document is the document that you need for this grant. Yes.
Okay, which is this EHP document that we just talked about.
Correct.
Okay.
With the New
All right.
Jersey grant, all you really did was look up a historical site, right? And then find that your address was not part of the historical situation or whatever it is. This is a little bit more in depth. Okay. Remember, everybody needs to do this. Everybody needs to give, when they submit their EHP to their liaison, you have to include the photos, and you probably have to include the addendum to get really substantial answers. That
Okay.
EHP is writable, not expandable. That's why you need the addendum. The photos are an absolute necessity. If you submit it, these EHPs go to your liaison. We'll look them over. We'll submit them on your behalf, or we're sending it back to you to fix what you are lacking. But we'll definitely take a look at all the EHPs before they go to FEMA.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, up next we have Andrew Pence.
Thank you, guys. I just want to thank you guys for this presentation. I know you probably do this 4 or 5 times a week, but
no, once a year, my friend, once a year.
Oh, okay. It's been like drinking from a fire hose, but I think I got all my ducks in a row. I had one concern when I saw a slide about the GTS grant ticketing system credentials. Have they been provided to me as the project coordinator, and where would I have seen that?
Not sure what you mean. So GTS.
So the grant ticketing system lives behind nj.gov, right?
Yes, nj.gov is your portal. So
Okay.
you have to create the portal to GTS for that.
Okay, so you go there and
right now,
register.
when you go to nj.gov, you don't have OHSP applications. You don't have it. That's the whole point of letting our GTS administrator know you're registered with nj.gov, and now I need the authorization code to put the portal in and the GTS username and password. Okay, on slide 45, that's kind of this. This is after you've registered with nj.gov, you need to email the GTS administrator. That's up to you. It's not an automatic email to the GTS administrator. You have to make them aware that you are registered and now want your authorization code to get the portal into nj.gov, and you need your username and password for the grants tracking system.
Got it. Okay. Now I already have credentials for nj.gov because of my pension. Is it okay to create a separate entity for these purposes?
You probably don't have to. Okay. There's here, let me show you real quick. nj.gov. Hold on, I'll just do that. Go nj.gov. So I have credentials, but you might have credentials right now. When you log in, you might have credentials for a bunch of things, but you don't have OHSP applications on it.
Right.
That's the if you already register with nj.gov, that's great. Just let our fiscal department know that GTS, I'm sorry, let GTS administrator know that you register with nj.gov and you need the OHSP authorization code to put the portal in, same thing, and the username and password for GTS. So this is like all these different applications that I have. You might not have any, or you might have a few, but we're trying through this portal to get this application.
Yeah, I've embossed and held it. Okay, that's perfect. And then last one, and
before you say it, grants management, you want nothing to do with that. Trust me. Go ahead. Excuse me.
And I'm sorry, last question. NJ Start, is that well covered? If that's well covered in a slide, I won't bother you with that, but that's where I was.
Yeah, NJ Start is, where did I put the NJ Start? Basically, I don't know where I have that. Okay, NJ Start. Fifth slide, okay?
Mm-hmm.
With NJ Start, remember, I've already sent you the W-9 form and I sent you the ACH form in as attachments from this invitation. So you guys have them. You have the W-9 and you have the W-9 mock that I gave you. So you have to send an email with your W-9 filled out and your ACH is your banking information. Send these two documents as attachments to this email address to register with New Jersey Treasury, just so you can get paid. You need to do that.
Got it. All right. That was all for me. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Awesome. William, are we good?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Go ahead. Ask your question. Are you going to ask a question?
Yeah, you mentioned that if you spend $100,000, including other federal projects.
Grants, federal grants.
Federal grants. Does that include Pell grants?
Does that include what?
Pell grants.
Pell.
It's more of, as far as I know, it's more of these kind of grants. For target hardening, we have a New Jersey grant, we have a federal grant. So we want to make cumulative those dollar amounts, that you want to be aware of both of those programs. You might have a way different grant. I'm not sure. You'd have to send me what you have, and I'd reach out to our AG's office to figure out whether or not, if it's anything other than like the New Jersey nonprofit grant or the federal nonprofit grant, we'll do that on a case by case. You can certainly reach out to me or your liaison asking that question. It's a good question. I'm not sure how many grants fall under that. I just know that our New Jersey grants will fall under this cumulative 100,000 per fiscal year.
Are you referring to are you referring to the Pell grants as far as college financing? Would that be it?
I don't think she realized you're asking her the question. All right, I guess we're good. Anybody else?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, we have Ronald Corsi.
Yes. I couldn't get on my computer. That's why I was raising my hand, because I'm on my cell phone. But we were approved on September 23rd. And I know there's a 3-year window, but when does that begin? Does that begin from September?
No problem. Yeah, it begins, these grant dates, and again, they're federal grants, so we can't help when they are slow. This grant started September 1st of this year.
Okay.
So you do lose a little bit of time. These grants end July 31st. What we expect of 2027, what we expect by July 31st of 2027 is that all projects are completed, all projects are installed, all projects are paid for, and you have the last canceled check proving payment in your hand. That's ideally, listen, you guys can finish anytime before that. Okay. You don't have to wait all 3 years. If you get everything spent down within a couple of years or a year and a half, that's great. More power to you. I'll come over and shine your shoes. We appreciate it. You getting everything done quickly, but you have until it might not encompass the full 36 months, but it's close to it.
Oh, that's great. That's a large window. So that's great. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, up next we have N. Stein.
How can I help you?
N. Stein, you're on mute.
Yeah, remember the mute.
N. Stein?
No, I'm good. You answered me. Thanks.
Okay. Up next we have Peter O'Brien. Peter?
Dave, quick question. The 5% for the project manager, did that have to be listed on the IJ?
Yes.
Or not?
Yes.
It did. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Security guards, M&A, training, exercise, planning, equipment. Anything that you're asking for as a project must be in the submitted IJ Section 4 facility hardening. Okay. We will not substitute. Listen, if you want to pay somebody for M&A to do this, it might be more complicated than you thought. You can pay for them, but out of your pocket. This grant won't pay for it unless it's in the IJ.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Raja Joseph.
Yes. Thank you, David, Dave, for the amazing presentation. Thanks to Margaret as well. I have a couple of questions. Number one, when we get 3 codes, who will be deciding the final vendor? We have to upload all the.
Nope. Listen, you guys, this is your grant. You've won this award. Once you get EHP approval, once you fill out those forms and send it to us, we submit it to EHP, to the Environmental Historical FEMA. Once they approve it, you have spending authority. It is up to you to acquire the necessary amount of quotes. You have to get at least 3 quotes for any project. Once you've acquired your 3 quotes, either you or your board or whoever, you guys decide what quote best suits the needs of your facility. That's the vendor you're going with. It's not up to us to pick your vendor. This isn't our grant. It's your grant. You won the award. We're here to help you facilitate the paperwork and keep you out of trouble all along the way. But it is your job to reach out to your vendors. It's your job to walk them through your facility. That's not our job. Our job is to help you upload their information into the grants tracking system or to help you in any other technical aspect. That's how this is. So you guys pick your vendor. One thing I will say is, again, it's the quote or the vendor, whatever, that best suits the needs of your facility. Please don't pick your brother's company. Please don't pick your company if you are a contractor. All right? You can't do that. That will bring down the feds quicker than lickety split. So stay away from anything that's going to make you look like you're doing something bad. Okay. You can, if you've used a vendor on multiple occasions and really like him, he can be part of your bidding process, and you can go with that vendor. You have a reason why you go into that vendor. They did work and they did it well. You know them. That's okay. Don't pick somebody because they have a great tie or he's your brother. That's the whole point of having a competitive grant, is that you're looking around, you're looking at your options, but you're picking this guy because it best suits the needs of your facility. Doesn't have to be the lowest bid, but if the lowest bid suits all your needs, why not do the lowest bid? You might have more money to put into a different already approved project.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And one other question.
Mhm.
When we start one project, I'm asking about the partial payments. Do we have to wait everything to be finished to get the reimbursement or?
Nope. As I went over before, that is a hardship on anybody. We don't expect you to come up with $150,000. You are obligated to pay your vendor, though. It doesn't come from us, it comes from you. Now, in this scenario, which I used before, if you're getting fencing and it's $15,000, every vendor that you talk to or hire will want a deposit check. They want money from you so they can go out and buy the equipment. You have to come up, you have to pay them the deposit. Once the project starts, let's say $15,000 I pay for fencing, I pay my deposit of $5,000. I wait a couple weeks, the vendor starts, he digs his first hole for my fencing. Once you get the canceled check from the bank proving, having the proof that you paid, the canceled check is front and back with the stamp. Once you got that and they dig their first hole, you can request the deposit reimbursement. Okay, we'll pay. You can use that $5,000 as seed money for every project. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to come up with the 150, but you have to come up with the initial payment for the deposit. So once we pay the deposit, then maybe mid of the installation, they might request a second payment. You go ahead and make that second payment. As soon as you get the canceled check from the bank, you can request payment for the second round. Okay, the project's already started, we know. Once the project is finished, you don't want to pay the balance on any project until it's finished. So you have something to hold over your vendor. But once that project's finished, then you request the balance of payment from us. As long as you can prove you paid with a check, with a credit card, or with electronic payment, as long as you can prove you had payment, we will pay those payments. Now, again, no projects that have started yet. You don't have approval. You can't start a project until you get EHP approval. But you can certainly go out and try to get quotes at any time. Just don't pick your vendor and don't pick a start date, because you might have a start date before you get EHP approval. Then we're all have a problem.
So we have to wait for the EHP approval, right, to start any process, right? Seeking vendors, all those things, right? Okay.
Correct.
And also one more question, the W-9 form, can anyone from the organization do it, or it should be done by the POC only?
The W-9 form?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, anybody with spending authority or has that information, that's fine. We're just looking to register your facility with New Jersey Start.
Okay.
The point of contact is the guy that's going to be talking to me or your liaison. Okay, that their name should be put on the reimbursement form, just so they get informed when payments were made.
And last question, I'm sorry. Apart from the POC, we can have a couple more grant managers, and you would be communicating with them as well, or it will be only with the POC?
Listen, please. I don't care internally how many people you share this process with, how many people are on it. Don't ask me to have a list of 3 people for your facility, because I have 500 plus organizations. I don't have time to look up, I got to send 3 people an information, or 1 person, or just give me 1 point of contact, and then you guys can disseminate this information within your organization as you see fit. But, asking us as a liaison to make sure we give it to this person, not that person, or these 2 people and not that, come on, it's too much. We have too much. Again, we have 500 plus organizations split between the 5 of us liaisons. So it's a lot of work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Up next will be Ron Rosenberg. Ron? Unmute.
And William, we'll go about another 5 minutes, okay?
I'm back with you. I'm here.
Okay.
What can we help you with, sir?
Yes. Do you have any?
I am fairly certain our project was listed at above the grant amount. And I'm fairly sure it will cost above the grant amount. And I know it's on us. But it may create some, my question is, will it create a bureaucratical dilemma for you when all the,
not at all.
No? Okay.
Nope.
So
I'll show you why too.
Okay.
I'm looking for something specific. When you're uploading your information into our grants tracking system, okay?
Yes.
Get this out of my way. I don't want to go in there. All right. When you're doing that, let's just say, for laughs and giggles, what you have is an issue. All right. 150,000. Let's say it's one project, and that one project is fencing for your entire property, and it really costs about 175,000. Okay. You were awarded 150. You can't put more than 150 anywhere because it'll just come up error. So even though when you upload your information into this, as a budget item, you can only put 150 because you can't put 160 or 75. It'll come up as an error. So you put 150 in here. Your PO list, you're going to put 150 in here, even though the purchase order that you uploaded might say 175, showing us exactly, and the quote from the vendor is 175. I don't care if you make a PO for 175. You're showing us exactly what you're going to be paying for. You can only show, though, 150 in here. You can only request 150. So you're never going to go over that 150.
No, I know that. I know that.
Okay.
I knew
I'm
that
just
walking in. I
showing
just
you
wanted to make
how
sure
to
it
take
doesn't
care of
cause a
this.
problem on your end. I have another question on the EHP. I know that I'm going to need to get approval from both municipal and state because we are a historical on the historical registry. Is this going to hold up our ability to start?
It will probably hold you up for a few weeks to a month or so. What's going to happen is anybody, you don't have to submit, you submit the EHP, that form goes to FEMA. Whatever you do for New Jersey, it's unnecessary. This is the EHP is the form FEMA wants. FEMA is going to look you up. Again, FEMA is looking for 4 things: whether your property has any historical value or whether your building has any historical value. Minus those 2, they're looking to see any ground disturbance. They're looking for the watershed or the water table disturbance. So going back to what they're looking for as far as they'll find out if you're a historical site. Once they find that out, they will automatically submit your EHP to Region 2, which is New Jersey. So again, it'll go back to New Jersey. New Jersey might take a couple weeks, might take a month to look it over. They'll get their analysis and send it back to FEMA. And at that point, FEMA will either approve or ask for additional information if needed. So yes, older buildings, historical buildings take a little longer. The longer you wait, if you wait until, March or something to give me an EHP, we're already on to the applications of the next year. So don't wait too long to do this because we're all, work is cyclical. And FEMA is the same way. They have things coming in, which is why we do our critical dates, is that we know what it was coming after that. We have other responsibilities. So try to stay within the critical dates because that's where you should be. And that helps us and helps you not get too overloaded.
Thank you. One more question on administration. I am fairly certain that I actually know for a fact that we received a grant in 2016 or 2017. I am fairly sure that we received payment and therefore, by extension, assume that we have a New Jersey start number, a vendor number.
No.
But
sir, in 2016, if you haven't gotten a grant since 2016, back then I've been this coordinator since 2015. Back then you submitted the W-9 and the ACH form as a fax. That's how they used to do it. That was the issue, that everybody was doing faxes, and then they realized it was not secure. And then some brainiac decided to do this vendor number crap. We have a new head of New Jersey Treasury as of April of this year. And that person said, why are you having nonprofits submitting for vendor numbers? Don't do that. We're back to the W-9 form and the ACH, but we're putting them instead of
You
faxing it,
answered
we're
my
going to do an
question.
invoice.
We'll do a W-9. That's fine.
Yep.
Not
Okay.
a problem. Thank you so very much. I'm sure others are waiting to ask questions.
Thank you, buddy. All right.
Yep. One more question for Shmuel Pearl. Mr. Pearl? Are you there, Mr. Pearl?
Got to unmute, Mr. Pearl.
All right. I guess he's not there. All right. So let's go to Steve Schnipper. Steve?
Hey, Dave. Wonderful as always.
Yes,
Under a prior grant that we'd had a couple of years ago, we had installed some cameras, one of the ones that's prohibited under the McCain Act. So what we had put in the IJ for this year was to add a couple of cameras. We want to fill in some blind spots. So since the money's being used to buy new cameras, and there wouldn't be obviously any of those problematic brands, there's no issue that.
No, there is an issue. The issue is that the system that you have already at your facility is probably or could be compromised because you put in bad stuff. So you want to add a few cameras. We're not going to add good to the bad. It's throwing good money after bad. We can't do it. You can expand on, if you've already been approved and you got this award, you can expand on the CCTV system by replacing the whole thing. That's what we will do, but we're not going to add cameras to a corrupt system.
Okay. Is it the camera? Is it the physical camera itself, or it's the NVR itself, or
it's
or
the
both?
NVRs. It's whatever that these Chinese manufacturers have spyware in. As long as, if you can get some kind of an affidavit that it's not in there, that's fine. But this grant does allow for the replacement of those compromised cameras with better equipment.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. In other words, in the IJ, we put in both. We want to upgrade the storage, which means we're going to replace the NVR. So if that's the problematic issue, that's gone. But some of the physical cameras that are there,
replace them all if they're on the other ones. I'm not going to say it again. We will not add to a system that you have corrupted equipment on.
So that's what I'm saying. The corruption the corruption's in the cameras and in the NVR. So it would all need to be replaced.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
All right, Dave, we have about 4 more people.
All right, let's do 4 and cut it at that.
All right, let's go to Steve Ziedberg. I think I said that right.
Yeah, Ziedberg, but that's good. I'm okay with that.
Bye, Steve.
You can also pronounce it Smith, but I'll go with Ziedberg for now. Question for you. So we have the New Jersey start. My question is, if let's say our bank change or some other info, how would I get the info that's listed in there? Is there somebody I can contact that can
You'd have to
confirm?
contact NJ Start. You'd have to contact them. You'd have to email them, letting them know that you have banking information that has changed. What do I have to do at this point? Please remember, NJ Start is New Jersey Treasury. They're not Homeland Security. We are completely separate entities. So the information that you give to them, you're going to have to reach out to them to get it changed. Now, that should not be an issue. There are, if you go to NJ Start, there's you want to seek out frequently asked questions, and within frequently asked questions, that question is raised: how do I change my banking information? And it kind of details it. But you can certainly reach out to NJ Start and ask where to find that information or how to go about that process. I did have something, and I looked for it yesterday, and I could not find it. You can always change your banking information. You can do that. You just have to reach out to NJ Start to do it.
Thank you.
Next question, Gail Zapata. Gail?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much. I put it in the chat, but I just want to clarify because you sent a message, but I wasn't sure understanding it. So if we have an event off grounds, security personnel, we can hire them as long as it's
listen,
covered.
your security guards are, for the most part, should be at your facility. It's at the facility that you hired.
Right.
But because of 2020 and around 21, let's say, there were a lot of places that were closed and people were doing these services off campus or off their site. FEMA had allowed that. I had another organization that did. They went to a separate, a different facility or different organization's grounds. Well, you have to reach out with them and be on their insurance. Okay. If you're going to use their property, you have to figure that out with them. We will allow our guy to go to this remote as long as it's a once or a twice thing and it's in your schedule. When you do a schedule, what we expect is give us a 6-month schedule, okay, of what's going to happen in the future. A schedule is about what's going to happen, not what has happened. So, and what Margaret was saying is that we have the right, when you give us a security guard schedule, let's say one of our monitors might come out on a Saturday night, let's say, to see that you told us that you're going to have a security guard at the front door between 5 and 8. He might show up at 7:30 to see if he's there. Okay. And if we as Homeland Security show up at your door, we're not looking at anything other than what you bought with Homeland Security grant funds. You're not opening your books to us. What your books are is I don't care. The only thing we care is what you spent your money on that we gave you. So you're not opening up your whole thing to us. You're just going to show us if we come out there that the stuff you bought from us is purchased and it's been installed. Now, as far as security guards go, to the best of your ability, you already know what approximately days you're going to use them, what high holidays you're going to use them. So do a schedule according to that. Now, when things change, if somebody doesn't show up, then you take a snippet of your schedule 6 months. You take a snippet of these 2 weeks and say this change and this change and upload that with your invoice. So we have a better understanding of the actual hours worked. So that cert form that Margaret went over should match in total hours what your invoice asks for and what your revised schedule would show. All of it should match as far as hours, as far as personnel, and as far as SORA numbers for certain security guards. Only contracted security guards from contract companies will have SORA numbers. Anybody, if you use a off-duty police officer, they're already SORA certified. They already have that. They don't need to be SORA certified. They're off-duty. They just cost a little more.
Got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, David. Up next, we have Jonathan Jacob. Jonathan? Unmute your mic, sir. Thank you.
Hi. So my question is when we're putting in all these purchase order stuff, we do it by fiscal year. What happens if a project runs over
Yeah, that's a good thing. Let's say if you start a project, expensive project in May, okay? You put out your first deposit, whatever, you can put out $50,000 in May. Wait till July 1st to pay the other $50,000. Then you're in between 2 fiscal years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not going to be an issue. So that it's the date that the checks are written. Okay. So if you're trying to avoid payment, if you're trying to avoid these
the audits,
thank you. Just make sure that you have the invoice can be for the whole kit and caboodle, but your payments are split between the multiple different years,
so
or
that's
fiscal years.
Yeah, so that's one side of it. My other side that the audit, I would have liked to avoid it if I can, but that's not the key of that. Is the issue is in the system itself, since you're putting in the purchase order of let's say in 2024, I started in December, it gets finished in January. Is the Homeland Security system that I'm putting the purchase order into going to be able to handle it, or do I need to put in a new thing in 2025 for the different year?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
We're not, it's not that complicated. Okay. We're not that anal. All right.
Okay, I'm just double checking.
And listen, if you have any issues, you can reach out to your liaison or me and we'll talk you through it. No, you create one purchase order. Purchase order could be for $150,000. Doesn't matter when you upload it. It's how many times you pay it within that fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're worried about. Now, again, you may get something from FEMA. I'm sorry, it's not going to be from FEMA. It's going to be from the New Jersey AG's office. All right, we're not going to make them aware of anything. So it's if the AG's office finds that you've spent too much. Now, here's another thing: if you have a contractor that's going to do this and do most of your job, and this contractor waits until the very last year to do everything, that contractor pretty much just submitted you into an audit. All right. So don't let them, I'll get things done. I'll get things done. Well, you want to get things done so you guys don't spend your own money on audits. A fiscal audit, I'm not sure how much it costs, but it's going to be out of your pocket. And it's only initiated by the AG's office. We're never going to alert them that, hey, you spent more money in this year. Let them find it. If they don't find it, they don't find it. If they do find it, we'll deal with it after that. But don't let a contractor wait 3 years and do nothing and then submit everything into the into our grants tracking system. At this point, we're going to show all payments. If you might have checks that show payments from 3 years ago, 2 years ago, but if you wait until the very last minute, we're asking payment all at once, and that's going to subject you to an audit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Up next, we have Kaiser Ali.
Thank you so much for all these great information and for the grant, and I really appreciate. I have two questions.
We're holding off on having it, so that's why I'm not doing anything.
Can you
Sorry,
hear me?
what's going on? I'm trying to hear you. Everybody else mute your mics, please.
Yeah, I think it's Mr. Pearl I just muted him. All right.
So go ahead, please.
Okay, so my one question was, when we get 3 codes for security guard, can I submit 2 schedules? Because there may be changes happening. So instead of submitting just 1 schedule, is it possible for me to submit?
Well, why would you submit 2? Then I'm going to have to look at which one. Which one are we going after? No, you don't confuse the issue. Create a 6-month. You have a 3-year grant. I'm not asking you to create a schedule for 3 years. Create it 6 months down the future. Yes. And if things change, you can take a snippet from that, because we're looking at your schedule is going to talk about the days and hours worked. So you're going to have weeks and weeks and weeks. If something changes, you take a snippet of where it changed and let us know it's changed. But don't give us, you submit 2 separate schedules. Which one am I going off of today? Don't confuse the numbers.
Okay, so my question was, can I submit like 1 schedule for a quarter and then another schedule for the next quarter?
Yes.
Okay, so, and another question was, let's say I have a security guard and it's for our building. But if we have an event outside, can we use the person for that day outside?
Yes. As long as, if it's on your property, not a problem. If it's on somebody else's property, you need to make sure you're insured. Okay. If something happens, if your security guard from your facility shoots somebody at somebody else's property, that's a mess. Okay. So you got to make sure you're covered. That's up to you.
No. So hypothetically, we are going to have an event happening in the park for our students, and can we use the same security guard?
As long as you go to your city council and make sure you have permission to do that, and make sure they're bonded. Okay. You don't want an incident with the person that you've hired at somebody else's place without being insured. You got to make sure of that.
Okay. So those were my 2 questions. Thank you so much.
Try to keep them on your property. That's the whole reason why we're getting security guards, is because your facility needs them. And occasionally I get it that you're going to have something outside. Yes, use that security. Yes, you want to be secured. But if you're doing it on somebody's property, you got to do the proper steps.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, Dave, we only have two more. We have Hisham
Hi,
Kanzada.
David. How are you? Yes, that's me. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So regarding the project management and administration, if we have a project where we need a separate contractor, for example, installing a commercial power generator, does that cost it's part of the management and administration, or is it separate? And
No, I mean, if you're talking about a generator getting it installed, it's all
Right.
part of one project. It's the
Right.
generator.
So
So if
again,
you
that
have to hire
generator,
two separate people, one for the generator and one to actually install it, it's still under one project. It's just you're going to have to create two separate purchase orders for two separate vendors.
so this is not part of the administration and management. That's sort of
No, no.
what if we hire
Administrative.
a engineering planner to design the generator and location and
If
check
that
the
has
ground
to
and so on?
happen, yes, we'll do that. We'll pay. Again, if it's necessary for the facilitation of your project, then it becomes necessary. So if you have, if you're going to put in fencing, if you're going to put in a generator, and you need to actually get an architect to make these plans to make it correct, yes, that could be part of it. We will never pay for lawyer fees or attorney fees in any way,
Understood.
but for permits and for that thing, yes, we will.
Okay, thank you very much. That's my question.
Okay, we have Richard Albanese.
Yeah, thank you. Just real quick, one of our projects in our IJ is labeled doors and gates, impact resistant doors and gates.
Mm-hmm.
Would that also fall under access control? I mean, it's just
No,
not
that's
a door.
why they're two separate entities. Access control is more like you have a card and you present that, a fob to gain access to your facility, that kind of thing. Doors and gates are separate. Doors are doors, gates. Doors and gates are one AEL number, and access control is a separate AEL number.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Pearl, did you have something to ask?
I was also going to ask something, two clarifying questions.
No, sorry, hold on, Mr. Pearl. Susan, you go first.
Okay, so thank you so much for this presentation. Very informative. Two things. First, the policies, I know the news that we could apply for reimbursement, even if it's only for a deposit and the work is not completed yet. I didn't realize that. Is that for all of the ULC grants, or is it only for 2024?
No, that's always how it's been. We never expect you to come up with $150,000. I couldn't come up with $150,000 to pay this, so we don't expect that of you. Some organizations are a lot wealthier than others. Some organizations have called me up and said, I need to go do a GoFundMe to get the initial dollar amounts up. You do what you got to do. One of the attachments that Margaret had gone over states that you have the money to do these grants. But again, you don't have to come up with your whole dollar amount. You do have to come up with the requested deposit of any vendor. That has to come from you, and then we'll pay that back as soon as you have proof of payment and the project starts.
Perfect. And then
now,
the other question.
I'll give you one other thing too.
Yeah.
If you hire a vendor and he wants the deposit and you give him that $5,000, but that vendor tells you he's not going to be able to start this project for 3 months due to other obligations.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure the equipment that deposit check paid for gets delivered to your facility. If it's delivered to your facility and you are in possession of it, we will pay that deposit off.
Okay, good to know. Very good to know.
Okay.
And then the other thing, I thought I heard you mentioned about itemizing the bill. So if we have, equipment, one is for doors, impact resistant, and the other is for glass. We're using the same vendor for both, but they're technically different categories in the annex. Do you need us to go to that vendor and have two separate invoices issued for those?
not two separate invoices. Just make sure that he puts or they put the doors and a subtotal of how much it was. Put the information of all, just have two subtotals and then your total.
Subtotals.
That way, those totals, you can use them when you create your budget item for GTS. You have the amount. In years past, I had a 5-page invoice from a vendor and they never separated anything, and I had 5 separate colored pens to find out what went with which project, and I never want to do that again. Make the vendors do their job. Make the vendors do their work to make your life simpler.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, Mr. Pearl, what can I do for you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. You're looking svelte there, sir.
I'm trying, thanks. First question, the MWBE, is that from the federal government or is that from the state of New Jersey?
The what? Be specific. I don't talk in acronyms.
Minority Women Business Enterprises?
All right, that is a suggestion from FEMA. They always want you to go in there. It's always a great idea to look what they have, to offer, and to be a little bit more diverse in how you spend your money. Is it an absolute requirement that you use one of them? No.
So while the webinar was going on, and you mentioned that, I Googled like NJ certified MWBEs, and there were like 4 hits for it, but they were all like going to a failure page. I couldn't get it from there. So in New York State,
wait, is that from the email address that we provided?
No,
we'll use that one. It's a great source.
It just went so quickly that I didn't get it, but when I see
no
the
problem. I'll
recording,
tell you exactly what page that's on.
Okay.
What am I looking for again? I'm sorry, I got 1,000 things in my head.
The Minority Women Business Enterprise.
Right here. So if you go on to here, right click, that's where you want to go. You're going to get the Open Data Center. It lists all kinds of minority businesses. It's a good source, okay? And it's available to you. We provided that, so hit it and check it out.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, the page was, this is slide 11.
The NJ Save?
What? The competitive bid? Yeah. So this is the minority. Slide 11.
Does it need to be somebody who's are these certified or like?
I don't know. They're a vendor. If you want to do a search on them to make sure they're bonded, it's always a good idea. I'm just providing a page where we have minority vendors available. That's all I can show.
If I have 2 vendors that are licensed to do work in New Jersey, but they're certified as Minority Women Business Enterprises in New York, and would that fulfill that we did due diligence? I mean, they don't have to be New Jersey, do they?
No, we always want to keep business in New Jersey, but there's nothing in this grant that specifies any contractors or any purchases have to be done within New Jersey's borders.
One other question is an award for fencing. If you didn't apply for gates as a separate category, but the gates are within the fence.
Yeah, the fencing includes gates. Gates in this separate category are really looking at electronic arm gates that have nothing to do with fencing, but have vehicle prohibitions. That's all that's really talking about. Any fence that you buy, naturally, you're going to get a gate. Otherwise, you got a fence and you can't get out. So yes, if you ask for fencing, gates are included, no doubt.
But access control, if you haven't asked for it, like say you wanted a gate to slide back and forth within a fence, it's within a fence. That would not be allowable because you're not.
No, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's a gate within the fence. Okay.
And that would be covered as far
as I'm concerned, absolutely.
If it's a gate that's outside of the fence, that's something totally different.
Yeah, if it's a gate outside the fence, then you'd have to have gates in the IJ as a separate budget item.
Right. Okay. Thanks all so much. And by the way, this is like the best. I mean, they're good every year and they get better every year. This is like off the charts. And you actually everybody had a personality and really engaged, as opposed to just reading wrote off the slides, which is it's like mind-numbing and like the Walking Dead, Living Death. And this was like the total opposite of that. It just was
good,
like
good.
yeah,
I'm
that's
glad
why
you
you're
liked it.
rated so high.
Margaret did an excellent job. I'm showing this because I'm upset that we didn't change this. There's 2 other liaisons, and I don't want them getting angry with me. So I'm looking for the, where is it? Oh, what's our critical dates? What slide was our critical dates, Margaret? Oh, she's already gone. I know she's gone.
Yeah. So critical dates are, let me share my screen.
Yeah, share your screen and show all the liaisons and their, this is on our PowerPoint. Let me get out of here. I'll stop sharing.
All right.
And
can you see that?
Boom, boom, boom.
Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So,
within the PowerPoint, there is, and what slide was this? Do you remember?
this is just an attachment.
Oh, all right. So this was in that email invitation as an attachment.
Yes.
It lists all 5 of the NSGP liaisons. So if when you received the initial notification that you guys won the award via email, this was one of those attachments. That initial email will have the name of your liaison, and this is their contact information. Okay. Thank you all for attending. Thank you all for spending time with us today.